Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Morning, everyone. I think everyone is on the platform. Babalwa, do we have quorum to continue?
Yes, we do have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you, Babalwa. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. I know that there are lots of things that are on the program for Parliament later today, and we will certainly move through the program and keep to the time guidelines that we have. Before we begin, Honourable Mkhwanazi, I see your hand is up.
Good morning, Chairperson and all members. May I request to say something, sir, before you make your opening remarks? You may have to, if you so wish, answer a question I'll be raising when you do your remarks. Sir. Thank you.
You're more than welcome, Honourable Mkhwanazi. I'll come to you just now. Honourable Skhosana, I see your hand is also up.
Good morning, Chair, and to my colleagues and staff members. I just wanted to indicate that there's an urgent meeting for me, which I have to attend. So I'm going to leave early, perhaps around before 12, because as you know, there's a budget speech today. Things are happening in all the parties, and indeed in my party. I've been asked to come to attend the meeting as late as possible. So I'm not going to finish the meeting at 1. Thank you, Chair.
100%. Thank you, Honourable Skhosana. No problem. Colleagues, I will then just ask that we adopt the agenda, or whether we can move to rather adopt the agenda. Can I have an indication of whether we can move to adopt the agenda? Honourable Schikkerling.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Schikkerling. Can I have a second to that, please? Honourable Mbio.
Thank you, Chair. I second it.
Thank you, Honourable Mbio. We then move to adopt the agenda. Babalwa, any specific apologies?
Yes, Chair. I did receive the apologies from the Minister and Deputy Minister Poishiela. They will be attending a meeting with the Department of Home Affairs in the matters relating to border management.
Thank you, Babalwa. But I see Deputy Minister Matale is with us. So, DM, thank you for joining us. I will give you the relevant opportunity to also engage. I would then, before I move to opening remarks, ask Honourable Mkhwanazi, do you have something specific, Honourable Mkhwanazi, that you want to mention? General Masemola, I see your hand is up.
Good morning, Chairperson and members. I would love to ask that around just before 10 to 11, if I may be released, I'm part of the meeting of the ministers. General Mosikili will lead the delegation this side. Thank you very much.
100%. Thank you, General Masemola. That's 100%. Honourable Matthys, I see your hand is also up. And welcome to the committee, Honourable Matthys. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, members of the committee. I'm sorry I logged in a bit late. I was just having connection problems. So I'm not sure if the email that I had sent and also what I raised in the group yesterday has been noted, that we get a briefing about the Matekile child rape matter.
Yes, I haven't done the opening remarks yet, but that is part of it. So
okay, perfect. Thank you.
100%. Thank you, Honourable Matthys. Reverend Mkhwanazi, over to you before I start.
Thank you, Chairperson. That is the issue that I wanted to raise because of what we are hearing in the media that is confusing, and which obviously is something that is concerning, because there are allegations that proof has to be made before proof has to be given that a person is a suspect. If you say if the legal advisors of AfriForum are saying there must be proof that the headmaster is a suspect, how do you prove before they have investigated? I think this is an interference with what the police are doing, and I obviously wanted to get a response from you about this. Is it okay for police to consult the lawyers first and give them that there is an allegation before they do their work? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honourable Mkhwanazi. I will include that. So just in short, I would like to then kick off with that. If I may, I'm actually going to start with that. I think firstly, it's important, and I was making some notes on it this morning, that we allow the relevant investigation to now take its place. I see the National Commissioner has appointed the head of FCS, the section head of FCS, to now take over the investigation or to lead the investigation. We have sent a request for a formal feedback and follow-up. I don't want this to be rushed in a sense that we may miss something. As I said yesterday in the group as well to the committee, we will then share that with everyone in the committee and make sure that the relevant feedback is given. I must stress that we must also, and I feel a little bit guilty as the chairperson of the committee, that together as a committee, I think we need to zoom in on more of these cases. When I received the letter of Honourable Matthys, I went and looked at some of the statistics a little bit regarding violence against children. And I mean, as a committee, we've seen the statistics, we've spoken about it. Everyone, I think, on the committee has somehow spoken in the media about it. It must be repeated, though, that per day in South Africa, 3 children are murdered. Not even mentioning all the other horrible things that happen to children, like with this specific case. So I think the feedback session, Honourable Matthys, I sent a message earlier I wanted to discuss with you as well, but I'm going to do it here in the committee. I think the feedback should be broader than only this case. I think it's something to zoom in on. I think it's a potential opportunity for us to actually zoom in on several cases that either may have been left to go cold, or also then consider what improvements are needed. I also believe that there's an opportunity to consider the certain appointments made regarding FCS on a local level. I've heard of several heads of FCS that aren't actually career police members in terms of working in FCS, and that bothers me a lot, because that means that we're not putting the most competent and the most fit for purpose people in these kinds of positions. Later on today, we'll be talking about gang violence specifically and zoom in a little bit on the Western Cape. And there too, there are appointments that have been made over time that are certainly questionable, which we will mention in that session. So I think there's a broader discussion on this morning, Honourable Tlhapi. It's good to have you with us again, and we will then, as a committee, really dig deep on it. And Honourable Matthys, I would love to also get your input after your letter, and we can discuss it as a committee too, as to what the specifics are that everyone in the committee would like to delve deeper into with regards to violence against children specifically. Honourable Matthys, your hand is up.
Chair, it was just, are you done? Because I didn't want to interrupt you. I was just raising my hand in response to your recommendation. Can I go ahead?
You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. No, I agree that definitely we need to take this matter, because it's definitely not an isolated case. But in the interest of national importance, I do think that the police is here. This matter is not just trending on social media, but also on the media. So even if, and there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation that's going around. So I do think as a committee, let's allow the department just to give us a status. The case started here. This is where it's at. We have taken it over. And just to give us some timelines. Also, it's not just about us, but about the constituencies that we serve. And I'm sure all the political parties represented here, their constituencies are equally concerned, and definitely I do think we should take this matter forward. There was an honourable member, I think it was Honourable Nicolette, that posted in the group the motion that was adopted in Parliament, I think it was last August already, that the Speaker needed to put together a task team that deals with the issue of child rape, particularly that results in pregnancy at school. So that's also something that we can put in. So I'm just pleading with you as the Chair and also the committee members that just a briefing, it doesn't have to go into details, and obviously, Chair, we don't want to compromise the case. We shouldn't let this opportunity to go and use this for the department to properly brief the nation on this matter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Matthys. When I give the opportunity to Deputy Minister Matale, as well as the National Commissioner, they're more than welcome to elaborate on it. I am careful to put pressure in terms of timelines. I think a lot of time has passed on this investigation that can be detrimental to it. And I must caution, and I'm going to say this very directly, I must caution people that are finding people guilty by social media. I've been reading some of the posts and things being shared, and I think it's important that even though there was a bigger slip-up regarding a very serious slip-up is actually the wrong term to use. I think it's a disaster, to be blatantly honest, but I think now it can be detrimental to people that weren't necessarily involved, and we need to allow the law to take its course. But nevertheless, we will do that. Later on, we are then going to focus on matters that arose from a previous session regarding crime intelligence. There, I would like us to also stick to facts, and I want to remind members of the committee that this is not a kangaroo court committee, and I don't want it to be treated as such. If something is brought forward, it must be factual and it must be relevant to the discussion. And then lastly, we will then zoom in on the matters of gang violence. I would like to, before I give an opportunity to Dia Matale as well as the National Commissioner of Police, please ask that we consider the adoption of minutes from the 5th of March as well as the 12th of March before we then continue to the relevant presentations. Babalwa, would you like to share the minutes? I assume, or I hope that all the members have considered the relevant minutes from the 5th of March. May we move to adopt those minutes from the 5th of March? Honourable Schikkeling.
Thank you once again, Chair. I was present in the meeting. The minutes are as what happened in the meeting. I move for the adoption thereof. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Schikkeling. Can I ask for a second to that, please? Honourable Mbio.
Hi, Chair. I was present in the meeting and I second it.
Thank you, Honourable Mbio. We then adopt the minutes from the 5th of March. Babalwa, please share the following week's minutes as well. These are the minutes for the 12th of March. That was several briefings that were held on that day. May we move to adopt the minutes? Honourable Schikkeling.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Schikkeling. Can I have a second to that? Honourable Mkhwanazi. Honourable Mkhwanazi, you are muted.
Thank you, Chair. The adoption of the minutes.
I take that every second to adopt the minutes. Thank you, Honourable Mkhwanazi. We then move to adopt those minutes from the 12th. Before we continue with the presentation, I want to ask whether Dia Matale, Deputy Minister Matale, would you like to do an introduction? And then, if it's okay with you, that we then give the floor to the National Commissioner to then introduce the relevant presentation. Dia Matale, over to you.
No, thanks, Chair. Good morning to you. Good morning to members. I will ask that we allow the National Commissioner to lead the presentation and also talk to the issues that the committee has raised. And then one will make comment at the end of the presentation. Through you, Chair, if we may allow the National Commissioner to come in.
Thank you, DM. 100%. General Masemola, you are welcome to do the relevant introduction, and then we can take the presentations from there. Over to you, General Masemola.
Thanks, and good morning, Honourable Chairperson. Honorable members, we are with General Lebia, General Patekile, PC of Western Cape, Lt-Gen Mkhwanazi, Lt-Gen Sintumude, Lt-Gen Khumalo, Mameteti Kamani, Major General Sebola, Tokani, and Brigadier Michel. Maybe let me start, Chairperson, with the matter that is currently on the current affairs of the Eastern Cape. Chairperson members, the matter was investigated by the FCS in the Eastern Cape. The IO have done what he would think is what was required of him, and he done the investigation where he was supposed to take some exhibits or samples. He did that, and they were sent to the lab. He took various statements that were necessary, and that's where the case is, Honorable Chair. And then, now recently what then happened, I dedicated the head of the FCS National, Lieutenant Major General Patekile, to take over this investigation. Not that there was no investigation. The investigation was done just to rerun the case and make sure that from senior level, that make sure everything has been done. So she is currently in the Eastern Cape, but yesterday already she have interviewed quite a number of people, and she will also take some additional statement where she thinks it's proper to do so. And there's been 3 doctors involved in the matter, and she is going through those doctors to get relevant information, interview them, and if she needs to take additional statements, she will do so. And once she has done that, she will then get everything back to the public prosecutor, and then they will be able to inform us as to what are they going to do with the case. But up to so far, there isn't any wrong that one can point to the IO. The IO did all what he's supposed to do in terms of the investigation. I must say, Honorable Chair, remember, when you do investigation, if at some point you get told that at Parliament, 1, 2, 3 have happened, and they say, Chairperson, Mr. Cameron was in Parliament today, and the following has happened, or they say 1, 2, 3 has happened in Parliament, and Mr. Cameron was not in Parliament. And during my investigation, when I asked people, the members of the Portfolio Committee will indeed say, no, Mr. Cameron was not in Parliament on this day in question. Then the IO, it's up to him to decide. He won't necessarily have to go and take Mr. Cameron's statement. Because people say you were not in Parliament, so he wouldn't take your statement for that. Why would he? So I don't want to get or dwell much into the investigation. Let's leave the senior investigator. He's there on the ground. We'll take everything, and together with the NPA, they will bring us on board. We are concerned as SAPS, yes, with not only this matter, but all other matters that involve children, to the extent that I'm in the process of issuing an instruction that these matters of children on a daily basis, I know provincial commissioners do take care of them, but that every day every morning, they will be reviewed by the head office in terms of what happened where, so that we make sure that from the head of the FCS, she does not necessarily pay attention to, she pays attention to all her work, but more specifically review these matters every morning, so that we know that justice will be done in terms of saving the people of this country. I think I will leave it there, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you very much. In terms of timeline, this happened during October last year, the 16th, and immediately thereafter, everything that was necessary was done. The parents reported the case, and everything else was done. The relevant people's statements were taken. I won't very much what those statements are saying, but everything, social workers, forensic social workers of SAPS were involved. They did what they have to do. Let me leave it there, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
No, Chair. Sorry, Chair. I thought General Masemola, you will also talk to the issue of FCS members, that these are professionals and relevant people who are appointed into these positions, and every member who serves there is appointed on the basis of the skills that they have in this regard. You can elaborate a little bit, because that was raised as well.
Okay, thanks, Honorable Chair. The FCS members, they are not just, they are detectives, but they are specialized detectives in that they are trained in the ordinary course of the training that is given to general detectives, but they further undergo training in terms of training on the investigation of these cases that relates to women and children. We have 176 units across the country, and they are professional in their work. They are trained. It's not just they are not general detectives. They are trained, and the work they do will also allude to that in terms of what they do. This is the unit that have got the most life sentences in the country, and they continue doing that work. So we do not say they are holy, but we already see these are professionals. They know their work. They do what is expected of them, and yeah, I think we can hold it there, Honorable Chairperson.
Yeah, no, I think that I thought that will be important, Chair, to say, because if there is a unit in SAPS that is amongst the best units we have, this is one of the units that we're proud of. Yes, challenges are there in any organization, and weaknesses are there. We can't say they are 100% perfect, but I can assure you, Chair and committee members, that we have the most competent men and women who are leading this unit, and their work speaks for itself. Probably it might be important to a National Commissioner through the Chair to prepare a presentation in terms of the success rate of this unit, in terms of the cases that they deal with. Very complicated cases, and they are able to unravel them. I think it will be important that we brief the committee about the issues we are dealing with and the success rate around the unit. Of course, we can always do better. And as we interact with you as the committee, there are things that you see and hear which we don't hear and see as a committee, and we only as a unit, and we only become wiser when we interface with you. Like I always say, that when we meet the portfolio committee, we come having a particular understanding of issues, but by the time we leave this engagement that we have with you, we are wiser than before we started engaging with you. We will always appreciate this interaction that we have. But I think for now, this is what we'll say to the comments and questions that you, Chair, you have raised in your remarks, and members also fielded. And if you allow us, we can then proceed with the presentation. But if there are issues that yourself and members feel we must further clarify, we are more than willing to do so before we can proceed with our presentation. You will guide us, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, DM. I think let's kick off with the presentations. I would like to ask the members if there are specific questions pertaining to this matter. Please pen them down, and we will then come back to them if the members wish after the presentations and the relevant discussion. DM, would you like to coordinate the presentations? How would you like to approach?
No, I'll request that we allow the National Commissioner to proceed with the team, because we have all of the relevant people who can assist us, but the National Commissioner leading the team, he will advise who will be most appropriate to then lead the presentation. Through you, Chair, if we may allow the National Commission.
Absolutely. Thank you, DM. General Masemola.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. If I'm not sure, do we proceed with answering questions of the last time, or we go to the gang presentation? Maybe.
I think I don't. Sure. There were so many questions and statements made. I think, if at all possible, that we do continue, maybe just completing some of those, because we did have to cut it short last time we spoke. That we could just formally wrap it up, and then we can move to the gang violence matter. But you would have to assist in terms of coordinating that for discussion. I am going to allow a short time for discussion regarding the relevant questions and comments, but would need your assistance in coordinating that response from the South African Police Services side.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. I will then answer some of them and ask members of the team to assist in answering some of the questions. One of the questions, Chairperson, was around what is being done to address stability within the crime intelligence. In response to that, Honorable Chair, is that there was a problem with the filling of posts in the division for quite some time, including the post of the divisional commissioner, which have since been filled, and some of the over 12 senior management posts were filled in the division, and the division is quite then effective and working. Most of the success you see coming these days, including the 2 shootings in Gauteng yesterday of one of robbery of courier trucks and one of a CIT, where 2 suspects in one scene and 4 suspects in another scene have been arrested. The trucks that were confiscated in a farm in Ventersdorp in Northwest, quite a number of other successes. All those operations are intelligence driven. That is the work of the crime intelligence. For the past 2 weeks, we have seen over 10 takedowns in the Western Cape, where 8 gang leaders and 42, including the 42, and 8 gang leaders and gang members that were arrested. We have seen the house where we found the stash of arms and ammunition in the Western Cape. That was the work of the crime intelligence, just that we don't go too far and saying it. So the division is working. However, there is a few individuals that will always cause an instability. Whenever a misconduct is reported, Honorable Chair, either is picked up by any commander or the divisional commissioner, steps are taken, and some of this misconduct will come via from the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, where we receive reports on investigations, and then an investigation is instituted by the relevant supervisor, and the employees are then taken to, in terms of a disciplinary process, for a departmental trial. And that is done to everybody. And in that investigation, the employer rep will either say, I recommend, yes, there is a facial misconduct, I recommend steps, or I don't recommend steps. And that's how it is done. But it is unfortunate, Honorable Chair members, that if this is done to sitting members or officers, it becomes unacceptable, and the whole world must come to a stop because there is a misconduct that is being investigated against a specific employee. That's the unfortunate part of it. But whenever we receive reports from the IP, this committee expects myself and my managers and supervisors to do the necessary, and we do that without exception, without choosing as to we receive report about Constable X, Brigadier X, or General X. We do the same in all employees, and we expect this committee also not to knuckle us for doing what we're supposed to do on all members. But sometimes it feels like not the whole committee, but some of this committee, of the very same committee members that is doing oversight to us, it looks like they want us to choose one over the other. But in terms of stability, the division is registering currently commendable success. We have brought CITs to a reduction. The only province that is still a problem for us is KZN. We are dealing with that, and I'm sure we'll go over it in the near future. In terms of posts in the CI environment, we had a meeting with the minister. We discussed the whole matter of the posts that are vacant within the division, and the minister did give us guidance in terms of what requires to do, and we are in the process of finalizing that. And those posts will be advertised soon, the provinces and national, and they will be filled. There was a question, Honorable Chair, about why General Lushaba was not charged departmentally. General Mosikili will more allude into that, because by that time, I think he was overseeing the Division of Crime Intelligence. It was long before the appointment of Lt-Gen General Khumalo there, but what I know is that there was an internal investigation done by a Major General, and General Mosikili did take a decision based on what was put in front of her, and she decided on that matter. Honorable Chairperson, the political team's task team functions on a budget that is within what we call National Operational Command Center. There is a component led by Major General Slepe, which is National Operational Center of Coordination, and the political team's task team is funded from there, which is mainly from a visible division. I would say it never used funds from crime intelligence or from the civil services. However, members that are part of the political task team that are crime intelligence members, obviously they cannot go and use money from next door. They'll use their own resources in terms of budget and in terms of vehicles, whether they are from open account or whatever, but they will use what is from their component. But the rest of the team, that is your detective and the combat teams that are part of the political intelligence task team, those that say they were using money from the civil services account, is a blue line. There's never been as such, Honorable Chair. And these members, they do rotate. Well, there are some of them that have got their court running cases that most of the time they will always be there, but there are those that after every 2 months or 3 months, they go back home, and some come, especially your combat teams, because the combat teams are not involved in the investigation of cases. They are mostly assisting in terms of arrests, assisting the detectives in the political killings task team. Successes for the political task team, I think we have presented it last time. I think since we have met, there's been 2 cases that were finalized with convictions and various sentences. I think even today there is another case that will be sentenced. General Khumalo will allude more to that, Honorable Chair. And let's see, allegations that I think I'll then ask, let me ask General Mosikili, followed by General Khumalo, to respond on some of the questions. But however, Honorable Chair, some of the questions that were asked last time are more questions that relate to the Civil Services Fund, which we will happily answer them at the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence, and not on this specific on this committee. General Mosikili and then General Khumalo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. A very good morning to yourself, and very good morning to the honorable members, to the Deputy Minister of Police and the National Commissioner, General Masimula, and colleagues. A very good morning. Yes, indeed, Chairperson General has already alluded to the fact that the decision that was taken was based on the investigation that was conducted by the then appointed Major General, who undertook that departmental investigations, and the recommendation suggested that there is no departmental, no any other case for General Lushaba to respond to. Rather, he was the victim of a crime in that matter, and that was based on the investigation or the evidence that was collected in that regard. I think in short, Chairperson, is just to indicate that my investigation was based on the recommendation that came from the investigation that was summoned to undertake, which is the process flow that is normally undertaken when a matter is reported for investigation. And as a result, there was no any input or suggestion or recommendation that suggested that General Lushaba should be departmentally be liable on that matter. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I submit.
General Khumalo.
Thanks, Chair. General Khumalo.
Very good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Deputy Minister, National Commissioner, Deputy National Commissioner, and the Honorable Committee. I will touch on the question that was talking.
General Khumalo, if you can just bend your screen a little bit so that they can see you, that you do have a mouth. Not too much. Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah. That's what, Chair.
Thank you, TM. There was a question that was talking to specific training program that we have in the division. Over and above the standard training that is applicable to all environments, the focus in the division currently is at the Executive Development Learning Program as well as Operational Commander Learning Programs. So as then we improve on our command and control. We, of course, have the ongoing intelligence gathering, counterintelligence investigation and vetting investigation trainings. The other priority or the focus area currently is on cyber surveillance, artificial intelligence, and drone piloting training programs, so as then we are able to attend to the current trends and issues. There was also a question that was talking to the continuous vetting of informers with allegations that there are some of the informers that are relatives to the handlers or members. We can confirm that indeed it is both unethical and wrong for the handler to recruit or register a family member as an informer. As and when we identify such cases, then we deal with them according to the prescripts. But a lot is done to prevent such situations. From during the registration of the informers, there are undertakings that are signed between the informer and the handler, confirming then the relationships. And further to that, there is a thorough screening that is done through the systems using both the identity numbers, so as then any relationships can be established. And the continuous vetting of the informer is taking place to make sure that we always have an informer that is in good standing. On the issues of the successes of the political killings task team, as we presented previously from the cases that the team is having on hand, we presented the sentences that has been achieved. But one of the achievements, Chairperson, that one needs to flag, the team has managed to link the hit orderers, in other words, those that were or are going to benefit with the elimination of a particular person. And most of those people then are still on trials, and that, according to our assessment, has led then to a notable decline of these incidents. The cases that are under rep this week, one sentence was supposed to be given yesterday, but then it was postponed then because of the absence of the defense attorney of one of the accused. But most of the cases that I caught are at trial stage, and then we are hoping then that they will be also successfully prosecuted. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, General. General Masemola, is there anything you would like to add?
Thanks, Chairperson. No, I think that is all, Honorable Chairperson. Well, there was a question around, I might have missed it if General Khumalo answered it, around social media that reported about vehicles gathering dust somewhere. I don't know whether he did answer it. To say, when you receive vehicles, Honorable Chair, they don't come as they come and then they are dispatched. You receive vehicles, you register them. After registration, then you send them to various units. So, and of course, that was a knee-jerk reaction in terms of what the divisional commissioner did in terms of taking action on senior management within the division in terms of transport, which was not a wrong decision that he did. It was a correct decision, but it was just a response to such. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General. Colleagues, I would like to see, I've noted Honourable Adams already. Are there any other members that would like to question or respond? Honourable Matthys, I've noted you. Honourable Reverend Meshwe, noted you. Thank you, colleagues. Honourable Adams.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, SAPS. Chairperson, I'm beginning to question the role that this committee plays, and the input from SAPS is extremely concerning, Chairperson. On the 5th of March, I asked a handful of questions. We are now in April. They are still not answered. The fact that these generals before us who are supposedly accountable to this committee are refusing to answer to this committee is very worrying. And I'm not referring to the purchasing of those hotels with our tax monies. I'm referring to very simple questions. I'm referring to the issue of security clearances. But let me spill the bag right here. Only one police commissioner in this country has a valid security clearance. It's the commissioner from the Northern Cape. No one else does. As a matter of fact, the DIVCOM of crime intelligence had a security clearance, but it wasn't a valid one. It was cooked. He now has a valid one. But the PCs in general shouldn't be in their positions. Now, Chairperson, this brings me to a very serious query. Do these people belong on this committee? Anything that they've signed off can be questioned. Any decision that they've ever taken can be overturned on the simple basis that they don't have the valid security clearance to be in the position to be operating there, as per the Satori report. Now, I'm going to move on from that, Chairperson, and ask of this committee, is it okay to have generals lie to us? Because we were told that all SR-funded vehicles were removed from management and given to operational duty. That wasn't true, because the DIVCOM, General Madondo, and General Shaba are still driving SR-funded vehicles to this day. It was a blatant lie. When IPID comes here and tells us that General Shaba was in actual fact the victim, and therefore his case was never handed over to the courts, or it was never, or whatever the crappy explanation was, here are the facts. General Shaba took a prostitute home. He let her into the house. She stole his property, but he reported a burglary. That, sir, is defeating the ends of justice. If IPID is going to come here and tell us that this was the result of our investigation, let them bring General Shaba's statement to this committee. Let this committee see what he said and see what they did. This is nothing but a massive cover-up. Now, Chief, here's the most concerning part of all. And I'm handing this directly to the DIVCOM, to General Khumalo. Firoz Khan was before a disciplinary hearing when you advertised his post. Crime intelligence had decided ahead of time to dismiss General Firoz Khan, and therefore they advertised his post. Now, Chief, is this what we're allowing? On the issue of the hotels, I have no problem at all with SAPS taking this to the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence. The committee is there for a reason. My problem is that on that committee, only sit representatives from two parties, only the DA and the ANC. Us smaller watchdogs that are truly holding this committee to account, we are being left out. But the bigger problem is, it was us smaller watchdogs.
Sorry, Honorable Adam, sorry, I just want to correct you there. A lot of certain other people from other parties didn't want to be vetted. Just a correction. We can continue.
Thank you, Chief. The point I'm trying to make, Honorable Chairperson, is that it was smaller parties like this one that brought the issue of the hotels to this committee. So my question is SAPS going to pick and choose what they want to disclose? Are they going to say, no, we won't answer here, we'll take it there? Because if that is the case, then we might as well save the taxpayers some money and close this committee, because if these people are going to come here and tell us, no, we don't want to answer, yes, we'll answer next week, and then 4 weeks go by, if they're expecting us to shut up because they are going to keep lying and covering up, then this is not on. With regards to the political killing stars team, it should have been closed, but it wasn't. But there's a bigger issue here for me, right here. A good man was shot dead with an AK-47, purchased with the money, overseen by General Khumalo. I want the committee to allow this to sink in. Our tax monies bought an AK-47, which killed a man who couldn't be bought. And nothing's being said about that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. May I then hand over to Honorable Matthys?
Thank you, Chair. We are so covered by Honorable Adams and more so. But just to echo on what Honorable Adams is saying is that we can't have a problem. I mean, obviously, I haven't been personally part of the Portfolio Committee of Police regularly, but we do get briefings from our members that are part of this as an organization. And it can't be that every time we ask for reports or we ask for, the department has to come here and answer, that the response that we get, it's a matter of national secrecy, and they hide behind investigations. The investigations are underway and we're going to compromise the investigations, etc., etc. So if that's going to happen, exactly what Honorable Adams is saying, then we may as well shut shop. So if there's a need for us to have a closed for all members to be vetted, and I'm not sure how that process is, so maybe we must look into that again, but also for us to have closed meetings, because the department has to answer to somebody. They cannot be a law unto themselves. Just also, Chair, I don't know, are we just dealing with this crime intelligence unit report, or can I also just talk about the short briefing that we had from the FCS unit, or are we going to do that separately?
I'm going to come back to that separately.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Matthys. Honorable Mkhwanazi.
Thank you, Chairperson. I want to agree with Honorable Adams. It is difficult to agree with those who say the committee must be on the side or must agree with the police. This committee must work together with government to fight crime. But how do you do that when you don't trust the police? We are, as members of the committee, living in communities that are ravaged by crime. We are expected to remain positive and to defend the police in doing their job. But how do you defend a person that has not been vetted or cleared to do the work that they're doing? And I would like to know, to get a straightforward answer. Why are people who have not been cleared, given police clearance, serving to fight crimes when they could be involved in crimes themselves? How do we justify retaining leadership that has people, I will use the word, accused of criminal activity? Because that could be one of the reasons why they are not vetted, why they are failing to get clearance. And yet, rather than the top generals be suspicious? What causes this person not to be cleared? Can we look into that? And we have people, as he correctly said, that have not been cleared. So a simple, straightforward answer I'm looking for is why people who are not, police who are not vetted, police who are not cleared are allowed to continue serving. Whose interests are they serving when they are not cleared? Because I cannot be convinced that they are serving the interests of government or the interests of the public. How do we know if they are not involved in people who are raping and killing members of our communities? Why are police who are not vetted allowed? Why are they allowed to continue serving in their position? A simple, clear, straightforward answer. Are they shielded? Are they protected? Are we given the message that there are some that are so important that they will get police protection? So my simple question, sir, why are they allowed to serve in a portfolio, in a department that should win the confidence of the public? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhwanazi. Honorable Mkhwanazi.
Thank you so much, Chair. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to say anything on this matter, Chair. I do take a little bit of exception to the fact that Honorable Adams says that there are many of us on this committee that are not actually doing anything, because I definitely dispute that, and I'm not comfortable with that statement that he made. But Chair, if you remember correctly, and I mean the police have all the questions that I asked, I actually was the person that originally asked about the police clearance last year, and I've submitted a follow-up question to ask who are these generals and top brass of the police that do not have top clearance. And I asked that question in January. I still haven't received an answer. I do understand that the police would probably not like to make those names public, but I think in the interest of public, it should be done. Chair, my concern is, yes, I agree that we are sitting with top brass that are supposed to have security clearance that form part of this committee and form part of the management of the SAPS in South Africa that are not properly vetted. But my concern stems further to that, Chair. I have written several letters to the Provincial Commissioner of the Western Cape, and I have basically been ignored, which really does concern me, because I am a member of Parliament at the end of the day. If I remember correctly, I was elected on the 29th of May 2024, so I am a member of this Parliament, and I don't think that it is the right thing for a Provincial Commissioner to ignore members of Parliament. Because, Chairperson, we have members in the FCS unit in Ceres who have cases pending against them for GBV and assault that are still serving in the very committee or division FCS, and other members of the police that are serving still in the police force that have cases pending against them that are in court. Chairperson, I'm very clear, and I've said it before. A police officer that is involved in criminal activity should not be formed part of the SAPS. We should get rid of those people and get them out of our system, because until such time as we clean up the SAPS and we clean up the top management of the SAPS that are not here for the right reasons, the SAPS will not go forward in our country, and we will be failing the citizens of our country and victims of crime over and over again. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhwanazi. Honorable Shongwe. I've noted you, Honorable Adams. I'll come back to you. Honorable Shongwe, please continue. Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would like to start here, Chair. Okay, greetings to the members, my colleagues, honorable members, and to you, Chair, and the SAPS officials. I intended not to speak, Chair, but it worries me that I'm not constantly on this committee. But the tendency of the officials from the SAPS of not replying to questions properly with facts and answers, it seems to be a thing in this committee. I don't know, if I may ask, why do they do that? For starters, I once asked a question about the training college in Benoni, where they do advanced driver training. Whoever answered gave me a very big answer for K53 course, and I was asking about a technical advanced driving course and the motorbikes, which would help in the stop death when needed, because we can't be buying horses and all that. Chair, through you, I would like to ask and propose to the committee, if possible. We are wasting taxpayers' money if we are paying salaries to the members that are not vetted. Can we put a halt on the salaries? Because to me, it seems as if those members, they really like serving. So let them serve if they like serving, but they stop the salaries until they get vetted. Because we as members of Parliament, we have to keep these members accountable. What are we going to say to the community people if they ask us the question, are these members trustworthy? I can't stand and say, yeah, no, they are. Can I now even trust the fact that they are not vetted? If they undergo for vetting now, can I trust that process even now, if they were allowed to serve without being vetted? I even feel like we just wasted the taxpayers' money. So can we, as a committee, halt the salaries and allow them to serve? And I tell you, Chair, I promise you, that will be done immediately. They will go for vetting. But if not so, Chair, we must do something about this. And this thing of them answering like they just here to just pass the buck. This is a servant administration, Chair. We all about delivering, not doing the very same thing, research every time, research, and nothing practical, Chair. This has to come to an end, Chair. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Shongwe. Honorable Sposana.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to go back a bit. If I heard you well, I just want to check up with our members in the defense intelligence that they refuse to be vetted. Is that true?
Thank you, Honorable Sposana. That is the feedback that we received. So We'll follow up formally if you like and can give the relevant feedback, or you can ask through the relevant channels.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Sosana. Honourable Adams, and then I'm going to hand over back to General Masemola. Honourable Adams.
Yes, Chairperson, this is actually for General Masemola. I have confirmation from the Inspector General's Office of Intelligence that General Madondo has no security clearance. The information that I have separately from that is that she does not have security clearance because of a conviction when she was, I think it was a sergeant. The question to General Masemola is, how was this person allowed to skip through the ranks, being promoted all the way to Major General, second in charge of crime intelligence? How do we have someone with criminal tendencies being the backup leader to intelligence, national intelligence? And then I want to ask of General Masemola, seeing as he didn't know, now that he knows, if this woman is going to be allowed to perform these functions. It is a serious concern. Then also, Chairperson, I want to throw this at the committee. In light of the fact that these people are operating in positions they should never have been, should they not be repaying the money? Because our tax money has in actual fact been wasted on unqualified people for years. And then lastly, to General Masemola, who I believe obtained his security clearance last year. Maybe he'd like to explain to this committee how he was operating in the position as National Commissioner for a 5-year term without security clearance. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Adams. General Masemola, over to you.
Thanks, Honourable Chairperson and Honourable members. In response, I think the Honourable Chair, maybe you give us time that we come with the whole list of whoever have security clearance and who not. Yes, within the senior management, there are those that don't have, those that either they did not submit their necessary documents. So in that regard, action is being taken. And as I talk now, I issued directing that all the 800 plus SMS members, those that don't have, because it's not to say the whole 800 don't have, those that don't have must have, they've been given time that by so date you must have submitted all the outstanding documents, and so that we can vet them. And the target for crime intelligence vetting this year is 1,500, and the SMS we have 840 something. So they will be able to finish the whole SMS in terms of vetting this current year, Honourable Chair. With regard to the security clearance of General Madondo, I'm sure the General Kumalo will talk more on that, Honourable Chair. But I expect Honourable Adams not to select facts, that whenever you get facts, he should get it proper, because the facts that he's putting forward are not complete. And I wouldn't know why he choose not to get all the facts. Honourable Chair, Major General Madondo was convicted of assault, not alone as a team, somewhere some 15, 20 years ago, when he was still a sergeant. In the course of that duty, they were convicted for an assault, and they were given whatever sentence they were supposed to be given. And as I said, Honourable Chair, I'm saying it's more than 15, 20 years when she was still a sergeant, of which after that, she has been promoted many times. And she did get security clearance also, and which expired. So now that when she applied for security clearance now, and then the point is raised that you were convicted some 20 years ago of an assault of somebody that was arrested. Whereas between now and then, she did have a security clearance. The same people that are doing the security clearance, there is a bit of a question, how can they come to that determination? General Khan, security clearance also, there were issues questionable about the issue of I think a safe house. Hence, the divisional commissioner said that the security clearance of these two will not be done here in the crime intelligence because already there's a problem. He referred the security, the two to be vetted by SSA, so that there is pure independence in both matters. Because, hence I said, I would have understood if Honourable Adams says Madondo, after he was a sergeant, was promoted to a warrant officer. Somewhere in life, she did have a security clearance. Somewhere in life, she became a captain, she became a lieutenant colonel, she became a colonel, up to where she is, Honourable Chair. And it's quite interesting also from those that were doing the vetting, then to go and raise that matter which they didn't raise before. But I think it's fair that both this security clearance for the two officials have been referred to somebody else to deal with that matter. But as I said, Honourable Chair, we will come with the full list of the members that have and those that don't have. And those that don't have, it's not to say they are appointed just for life without. There has been screening done. As soon as one get appointed to senior position, a screening is done, and then the person is told, submit for vetting documents, which should be done. So that's where some of them, the security clearance have expired. Some of them, yes, there's been some, as I said, some documents that are standing, and we have given them now time to say by this time you submit, so that we know the CI will be able to finalize the clearance when they have it, they get denied, or they have it, then we can know how to deal with the matter of vetting thereafter. With regard to letters written to the Provincial Commissioner of Western Cape, I'll give you time to respond. I didn't understand the question around Benoni training. If the Honourable Member maybe can just repeat it, Honourable Chair.
Yes, General. Just repeat, which question would you like to repeat? I just heard training now.
Yeah, the question by Honourable Shaw on Benoni training.
Yes. Honorable Shongwe, would you like to repeat your question?
I would like to do that, Chair, but the question was asked on the previous committee meeting, not this one. My question was the importance of driver training in terms of cost-effective measures, that we should be training members in the advanced and technical driving course in Benoni, and why are they not resourcing that training college with vehicles, with staff? Members who are working there as instructors have left that training college, and none of those members were replaced. But it is said that courses are being ran and continuously going on there in the data or in the reporting, but which is false. I would further like to ask that I get report on that courses in Benoni, on the motor vehicle courses and the advanced driver training results on on that courses. I'd like to get the data of those courses, because I wonder how it is conducted without enough instructors and the vehicles that are not there. There's very less vehicle, not in good conditions to train our members, and we also expect our members to be chasing after criminals with just no proper training and driving. So when I was given a response on that day, I was given response pertaining the K53 courses, that there are courses running there continuously and members are passing. That was K53 course, because there is the course of K53 learner driver and training there in that Benoni college. But my question was about the advanced technical driving, which has no vehicle and no instructors replaced on those that have left. There was an issue there before, Chair, if I can elaborate on that. Instructors on that course were not members of SAPS. They were admin staff, which there was a case at court which just perished and was never fully attended, which was unfair. They were expected to train generals, commissioners, and rank officers under the rank of an SAC1, which was unfair. We're still going to deliberate on that, Chair, further on, but let me submit for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Shongwe. General Masemola, you're welcome to answer briefly, but we will go into that when the topic is on the agenda. I want to move with the crime intelligence matters, that we can complete that properly. General Masemola.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. On that matter, I'll have to go and find the facts. I don't have anybody from training here, but the last time, it must be 2 years ago when I was there, I met 2 warrant officers that were trainers, which I even told the unit commander to say, when we issue advance, this high performance vehicle, they should be issued to that institution, so that members from whoever coming from the country first go to Benoni to training and leave with their vehicles. So that one, I can't read the response now. I'll have to go and get the facts right, and then we'll then be able to engage on that picture. And on Honorable Kosana's question, there is a question about whether members refuse to be vetted. I'm not aware of within our environment in crime intelligence. We don't have members that refuse to be vetted. What we have in crime intelligence, we had a problem of capacity, Honorable Chair, where we didn't have sufficient members. The past 2 years, we increased the figures. The shortage is not only there, as you are aware, budget cuts affected everybody. There's shortage everywhere from police station level up to, and including this vetting section of crime intelligence. So as we are aware that as we speak, they are given, them and detectives are given 4,500 members to recruit. So the vetting section of CI will also get their share out of the 1,000 members that the CI is going to get, in order to increase the capacity for the vetting section to complete the work with speed. I think with regard to security clearances, I think I did answer. The National Commission does security clearance, so I'm not sure where that comes from. Thanks, Honorable Chair. Let me allow General Khumalo to answer some of the questions. Thank you. General Khumalo.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Committee members, Deputy Minister, colleagues. On the one question that maybe was also raised by Honorable Adams regarding the advertisement of one of the posts at senior management level. The post of the component head of counter and security intelligence was advertised because it was, and it's still vacant. It is going to be re-advertised. Major General Khan was and is appointed as a component head of operational intelligence support. That is the post. So the post that is vacant is the one of counter and security intelligence. But then that confirmation can also be acquired from the Divisional Commissioner Human Resources. The status of the security clearances at senior or top management level in the division. Currently, we have 2 component heads that are having expired security clearances, which are Major General Madondo and Major General Khan. So their vetting applications have been submitted to State Security for finalization. That is the status, or maybe the confirmation on the response of the National Commissioner. I thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Chairperson. So I think that has been clarified. The Honorable Adams should go maybe find the facts right from whoever informed him. The post of Major General Khan was not advertised. What was advertised was never his post. It's a post that he has been acting on, but it is not his post. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, General Masemola. I noted the hand of Honourable Schikkeling and then Honourable Reverend Mkhwanazi and then Honourable Adams, Honourable Schikkeling.
Thank you, Chair. I just have one short follow-up question, and that is the members that do not have police security clearance at the moment, do they still have access to the full SAPS system? And are they still allowed to attend all meetings and sit through all the confidential discussions that are at hand? Because surely if you know that your police clearance certificate is going to expire, it is upon you as the member to start taking steps and ensure that you are clear the whole time and that you actually follow the process timeously. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Schikkeling. Honourable Reverend Mkhwanazi.
Thank you, Chairperson. My question to General Masemola is he aware of his troops or his generals whose security clearance is about to expire? And if yes, doesn't he remind them to reapply while there is time? Why wait the 11th hour, maybe a week or a few days before the expiry of the clearance and then reapply? Why don't there be a time that a month or 2 months before clearance, before expiry of the current clearance, that they start applying? And lastly, the simple, straightforward question I ask, why does the police want the communities to conclude? Because who will tell them that they are being watched over by criminals among them, among others? Because if a person cannot be cleared by the police, then something is seriously wrong. So I am pleading that there should be no police serving the public with no security clearance, because that person could be a dangerous person. So the simple question is, why employ and continue allowing a person with no security clearance to serve the public? And as my previous colleagues said, they listen to secrets. They know secrets about it. And if there are plans to climb or to raid a community where they have buddies, they have friends with whom they commit crimes, are they not going to tell their friends, hey, beware, the police are coming in your area? So the simple question is, does the General Masemola like to work with other generals that don't have clearance? Does he trust them? And if he trusts them, how should we trust him as the National Commissioner? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Reverend. Before I come over to Honourable Adams and Honourable Matthys, I'm going to go back to General Masemola first, that we don't leave questions out. So General Masemola, can I go to you first, and then I'll come back to the Honourable members.
Thanks, Honourable Chairperson. Thanks, Honourable Chair. The clearance of these officials, they do expire. Complete, Honourable Adams.
Honourable Adams, please mute. Thank you. Adams, I please wanted to ask you to also keep your camera off if you're going to gesture in the background. It is distracting to the meeting. Thank you, Honourable Adams.
Thanks, Honourable Chair. All right. Let me restart. Honourable Chair, members of the police, they do apply for security clearance before it expires. They do get a reminder 3 months before. But unfortunately, sometimes, as I said, Honourable Chair, the capacity of the police, we know from police station, there's been shortages. Shortages are everywhere in the police. It's not only police station. All, detectives, there's shortage. Even crime intelligence, there's a shortage. Even this very same section of vetting does have a shortage. When I take over, there were 7 members at national level that are doing vetting for the whole police. Those are the things that, of course, I must die for. But we have since increased the numbers, and we'll keep increasing these numbers so that they can be able to vet the rest of the police. The section of vetting, Honourable Chair, was kept at minimum. They were not even sufficient to vet Crime Intelligence Division itself. So we are improving on them, increasing the number. We appointed a brigadier, we appointed members with a view to finish the work. The problem does not all the time lie with the person that's supposed to be vetted. The problem lies with capacity. Let's take again for what the famous Lt-Gen General Kumalo that is made by Honourable Adams, that applied security clearance in 2017 and it got finished somewhere later in 2021. Well, I know that for him it was done in 5 days, whereas it started quite a long time ago. So some of them, they do get reminders and they apply, and it just don't get finalized. Even mine, I knew when it expired and I applied in time, but unfortunately it was never finalized in time. But the issue is the capacity is not sufficient. So it's not to say all members of senior management, they are wrong. As I said, we do screen members, and thereafter, yes, we undertake the process of vetting. And as I said, for now, I do undertake that the 800 plus SMS members will be finalized and vetted this current financial year that started yesterday. They will all be vetted, and we are going to increase the capacity in this field. But unfortunately, as you know, I can't recruit now, train now, and throw them there. The recruitment process is on the go, and we are going to train them and make sure that we increase the capacity to such an extent that they can be able to vet the whole police. So, Chair, thank you.
Thank you, General Masemola. Next, I'm going to go to Honourable Matthys, followed by Honourable Adams, followed by Honourable Kolo Barnard. Honourable Matthys.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, General, for your response. Mine is just quickly, and perhaps in the next, or we can just get a response of telling us exactly how many senior officials have served, whether it's for a short period during their term of appointment without clearance, and whether it was the responsibility or whether it was because of the department's incompetency, or as you say, lack of resources, or because the officials waited until last minute, etc., to submit their documents to do. And I think that is important for us to understand that. Also, if the General can tell us what capacity do you need to be able to do this vetting process, so we have a smooth process and people are not serving without being vetted. I'm sure, General, you can appreciate that we live in a crime-ridden country. There is no trust in the police. There's nowhere in the world where crime flourishes when the police is not involved in it. So if the department wants to separate itself from being involved, and especially with high levels of crime and gang-related crime and mafia-type crimes, these things flourish only because of the involvement of the police. There's no way that these things can continue going on if the police, on some level, or police officers or officials rather, obviously not in an official capacity, are not involved in criminal activities. So you now can understand why this vetting is going to assist you in cleaning up the department's name. So yeah, if you can just speak to that, and it might be something that we also need to prioritize, Chair, as a committee, to make sure that there's required personnel to be able to vet the police officers, particularly those in crime intelligence and those that are serving in senior positions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Matthys. Honourable Adams.
Chairperson, let me just apologize for earlier, General Honourable Shikling. It was no slight of mine. I wasn't accusing anybody, especially you, of not doing anything. I've always watched the portfolio. Please excuse me for that. Chairperson, the NASCOM is wasting our time. The NASCOM admits the fact that General Madondo did apply for security clearance and she failed the polygraph and she was allowed to continue in the job. And this is what I'm saying, Chairperson. This is the source of my frustration. It's the back and forth, the lies and the omission by the heads of SAPS. We expect our communities to comply with the law, but the NASCOM won't. General Madondo won't. General Shaba won't. What are we doing here? You see, Chairperson, earlier I was doing this to apologize for my mic being on. You asked me to switch my mic off because I was being out of order in the meeting. Will you, as the chair of this meeting, take control of this meeting and instruct these people to answer when questions are asked? Because for the last however months, they've refused to answer any questions I asked. For the last however months, they've been lying to this committee. I've raised it earlier, the SR-funded vehicles.
Thank you, Honourable Adams. Do you have a specific question now that you want to answer? Or are you going to keep labouring something? So ask the question.
Yep, Chairperson. The question is a very, very simple one, Chairperson. Is General Madondo going to be allowed to continue in that position? He hasn't answered this.
Thank you, Honourable Adams. Then Honourable Kolo Barnard.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I thought I'd take this opportunity to attempt to clarify something that's been doing the rounds for some time. I've been repeatedly asked what happened to the case which was with the NPA against the National Police Commissioner and the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner. They were both charged with accepting expensive goods, Louis Vuitton, etc., from a person who applies for and receives SAPS tenders. Now, I was on the JSCI at that time, so I do know that it took some months that the National Police Commissioner was not allowed into the building, and suddenly he was. So at some stage, I presume that clearance, top secret security clearance, was granted. However, it's never come out as to what happened to that case. Has it been removed? Is it no longer being investigated? What has happened to that case? Because I'm asked over and over and over again for an explanation, and I just can't give one. I presume because you were then allowed into the JSCI that the National Police Commissioner received clearance. Does the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner now have clearance? And please explain what happened to those charges. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Kolo Barnard. General Masemola.
Thanks, Honourable Chair. With regard to what is the capacity that we need, Honourable Chair, the DIVCOM did indicate that he needs 45 for the section of vetting, to increase it with extra 45, which I said no, because of labor turnover, people going on retirement. Let's rather increase the figure, where I said no. Instead of 45, we'll give extra 150, which will we just round it off to say 200 extra members will do. With the current recruitment of 1,000 that is happening, there will be that figure that goes to the section of vetting to make sure that we do our work with speed. General Khumalo can respond on the issue of General Madondo, but my response will stand, Honourable Chair, that both General Madondo and General Khan's security clearance has been referred to the SSA with a view to have it done by somebody independent and neutral, and we'll take it from there. The case that Honourable Barnard speak about, what I know, it has been investigated sometime long ago, finalized, and that's all I know. Thanks, Honourable.
General Masemola. General Khumalo.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I should think that as the National Commissioner has stressed once again the position regarding the security clearance of General Madondo and General Khan, there is nothing else to add from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, General Khumalo. Colleagues, I see General Reverend Mkhwanazi. Your hand is up. You're welcome to ask. I'm soon going to start moving over to the next agenda item, but Reverend Mkhwanazi, please continue.
Thank you, Chairperson. We don't want to sound like broken records, but it is important that our questions be answered. I had a simple question that needs a straightforward answer. And the question is, why allow police without security clearance to continue with their jobs? Are they trusted? And obviously, if the general or the top generals, particularly the National Commissioner, trusts police with no security clearance, does he expect us to trust them also and to trust him, who allows police or generals to continue serving the public? We know that in Bang Heights, a number of police names have been mentioned. How can we overcome the crimes that are in the country? Serious crimes. When these crimes are investigated, sometimes by police and generals who are not having security clearance. Do they have a hand in some of these criminal activities or not? So the simple question, Chairperson, why use and work with generals that do not have security clearance? Simple question, why? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhwanazi. General Masemola.
Chairperson, I'm struggling to put my hand up.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Adams, I haven't acknowledged you yet. General Masemola.
Yeah, Honorable Chairperson, as I did say before, I would not want to work with police that don't have clearance. Unfortunately, it is not all they are doing. As I said, at some point when I took over, the capacity of the vetting section were not more than between 7 and 15, and we are increasing that. And people do apply or reapply even before expiry, but they don't finalize enough time before they expire. So police members that we pick up are criminals, whether vetted or not vetted, Reverend Honorable Mkhwanazi. We do deal with them. I would love to have everybody vetted, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. But the current position is that they are not. Some of them, theirs expired. Some of their documents are standing. Hence, I'm putting this special project to say, let's finalize at least the RSMSs and all that, including all the generals, to make sure they are. From there, we'll go down to selected environments that we need, that those areas we vetted. So, Honorable Mkhwanazi, I cannot say the blame is totally on them. It is some of them, the blame lies with them. Some, the blame lies with the fact that we did not have capacity. What I inherited was little capacity, which I increased, and it's not yet enough as I'm increasing it now. Once we have enough capacity, the recruitment drive that we have done now, once those members arrive, we will be able to have sufficient capacity. But the current SMS members, we will finish vetting them this current financial year. As I said, the target for vetting for crime intelligence this current year is 1,500, and we have 840-something plus SMS members. So that 800 will be finalized within this current financial year. Thank you.
Thank you, General Masemola. Colleagues, I'm going to shortly move to the next topic, which is the gang violence presentation. I want to just say one or two things. I want to be very, very clear that we are not going to become a committee of allegations. Honorable Adams, your conduct today and allegations you made should be considered in a serious light. And the reason I say this is because it seems that there are specific people inside the South African Police Service that are clearly of a senior nature that are leaking you information, and you're questioning vetting, but at the same time, the very people leaking it are clearly contravening their own regulations and their own vetting for that matter, because some of the information that you are so-called exposing, bits and pieces of that, have been seen to be classified in certain circumstances. If you want to be in the Joint Committee of Intelligence, please do that. And if you want to engage with the Inspector General, please do that. We have got an oversight and a law-making responsibility. And as much as we will have many of these more difficult discussions, we've got several other responsibilities too. Now, telling me that, am I going to force people to answer certain questions or not? I accept that, and I will question certain matters and keep following them up, as I have done with some of your requests. And unfortunately, the police haven't answered all of them yet, but we continue to follow that up, and we will give you the relevant feedback, as I've said to you before. I want to take it further as well to say that we have got a responsibility regarding feedback after oversight processes that we need to follow. And this is just one division of several that we need to focus on. Last week, we spent an entire week and we saw a lot of shocking things that we need to zoom in on. We also saw some positive things that we need to zoom in on, where we also need to do the relevant work as a committee. I would like to encourage you to thus make sure that when you engage in the committee, it is focused on the actual agenda and that you are not exposing the very handlers that are feeding you with certain bits and pieces of information.
I don't have a handler.
You clearly do, Honourable Adams, because you are driving a very specific agenda with very specific names. So it does seem that there are specific handlers instructing you, and you can differ from me. That's 100%. But there's a very, very clear agenda being driven And I'm not going to allow the committee to become a kangaroo court. Honorable Adams, thank you. I haven't acknowledged you, Honorable Adams. It's not a personal attack. I'm saying that there are handlers feeding you with information. How you see them or what you want to call them is up to you.
And you are being handled by
I'm not being handled by anyone, Honorable Adams. You are out of order. I haven't acknowledged you. I'm tired of your interruptions and the rude comments that you make on this committee. We will move on to the next topic. Honorable Muela, you want to make a comment? You're more than welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and greetings to everyone in the platform. Greetings to all honorable members. I think I wanted to call an order with regard to the behavior of Honorable Adams. I think you have maintained that particular order. I think he should respect the meeting. We cannot have a situation where he keep on interrupting and making those kind of behaviors. I think you should respect the meeting. I wanted to call order on that, but thank you for maintaining it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Muela. We will then move on to the topic regarding gang violence. General Masemola, may I ask that you coordinate the beginning of that? I believe that Lieutenant General Patekile, the Provincial Commissioner in the Western Cape, is also with us, and that he will lead the presentation. Honorable Matthys?
Yes, Chair, I raised my hand before you just moved on. I would want to call order on you. I don't think it's proper the way you have addressed Honorable Adams on this matter. I mean, this is a portfolio committee, and if we do not use this opportunity to raise very serious issues about crime here in this country, where else would we be able to do that? And he's raised his hand, the generals, the deputy ministers here, and they must be able to answer those questions, and also to refer to him that he has handlers and he has agendas and stuff. It's very unparliamentary to be able to do that. We are here to get questions and to get answers, and we must be allowed to use this platform to do exactly that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Matthys. Point taken. This has a long run-up to the specific discussion and meeting. We have got many things on the agenda we need to discuss, and I'm not going to go to and fro with regards to allegations. We also need to make sure that which we put down is factual. This is not a platform that we are going to use to get followers on TikTok. We need to be able to do constructive work in order to not only correct and fix what is broken, but also to support what is positive. General Masemola.
Chair, you're out of order, busy talking about
Honourable
TikTok
Matthys,
now.
I haven't
No,
recognized you. I wasn't referring to anything specific. It's important, Honourable Matthys. Honourable Matthys, Honourable Adams, Honourable Adams, you're going again. You see, you're proving my point every single time. You keep on acting. You are out of order, Honourable Adams. Once again, it's become a trend of yours to behave in such a manner, and I have allowed it, but it's becoming very frustrating to the broader committee, not just me, and I'm not going to allow it any further. General Patekile, General Masemola, if I may hand over to you for the presentation regarding gang violence.
Chair, Honourable Shongwe here, my hand is up.
Honourable Shongwe, you're welcome. Sorry, General Masemola. Honourable Shongwe, what would you like to say?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Chair, it is unfortunate that you are yourself out of order. Honourable Adams' hand was up earlier on. You didn't notice. Now you come and say that his informers, handlers, whoever you might call them. Chair, we have a situation of Cwecwe who was raped in Eastern Cape. We found out through TikTok. So you're saying TikTok, it's unfortunate. Can you kindly apologize to Honourable with that?
Honourable Shongwe, no. I'm not gonna. We're not here to make sweeping statements. My point is that if we do things, we do it factually.
Is it correct to interject a person talking?
You switched off your camera, Honourable Shongwe, so I assume that you were finished.
I was trying to
please conclude. Please conclude, Honourable Shongwe.
No, you are pushing me to do what I don't want to do. You can't say please complete. That's complete out of order, Chair. Please be.
I can't ask you that, Honourable Shongwe. Honourable Shongwe, please conclude. Honourable Shongwe, please conclude.
Just respect other people, sir. Stop.
Honourable Shongwe, please conclude. Thank you.
Chairperson, can I be Chairperson? I want to put this thing to bed. Please.
Honourable Adams, I'm going to give you two minutes, please. You're welcome.
Chairperson, if I've been out of order, I will apologize. But I don't take kindly to people accusing me of being handled. And not just you, I'm talking about people. But let's move on from that. I don't want an apology. I want this committee to function. Now, if you see my frustration, Chairperson, it's because 4 to 5 months of asking questions are not being answered. If I took a swipe at you, Chairperson, it may be man enough to apologize for it. But let's move on from here. But in all honesty, Chairperson, this committee is not serving a score purpose because SAPS is just not answering questions. I don't have a TikTok account, so by the way. But let's move on from here. Let's not make Fadiel Adams the center of this meeting. We've got more important.
Thank you, Honourable Adams. TikTok is proverbial. There wasn't a specific TikTok. My point was to call about or to speak about sweeping statements. I'm not going to go further with it. Points taken and considered. Please move forward. General Masemola, General Patekile, may I please give you the opportunity to do the relevant presentation.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. On introduction of the Chair, as you are aware, we have this problem of gang violence in this province. And this is the province where we first established the first anti-gang unit, which, under the Chair, it is, yes, quite well staffed, but there is still some shortages in terms of personnel. We want to increase it wages to make it much more in terms of personnel and resources. But however, Honourable Chair, the anti-gang unit is doing quite a sterling job. Last year, Honourable Chair, we registered projects that relates to gangsterism in this province, and 9 of those projects have reached maturity. In the last 2 weeks, we had takedowns on those projects. As I said, there is an arrest of over 40 people, of which 8 of them were gang leaders and the others are runners for various cases, including that they've been gangs. And we are registering new projects to continue because the problem of gang violence is still an unacceptable level in this province. We are aware in other parts of the country there is there, but however, in this province is where we have more of it. I'll allow the PC to then take us through the presentation. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, General. General Patekile, you're welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. Greetings to the Deputy Ministers, the National Commissioner, Deputy National Commissioners, and colleagues in the meeting. Chair, I will take you to the table of contents as they are there. We can get to the next page. This is the brief that we got to be here today. Next page. That is our exposition to the threat of gangs and organized crime in the Western Cape. Gangster team has undergone a process of cooperation with gangsters becoming career criminals, forming part of organized crime criminal syndicates and establishing a criminal economy. Gangs and organized criminal groupings that would include street gangs, prison gangs, extortion gangs, play a dominant role in the narcotic trade, with some having links to transnational groupings. Competition over drug trade and the expansion of territory is manifesting in gang violence, especially with the recent further cooperation of certain gangs. Some communities are supporting organized crime leaders as they are perceived to be able to provide resources and protection to vulnerable communities and businesses again in the area, thereby creating an alternative governance. Contributing factors to the multiple killings, including extortion in inter and intra-criminal gang activities and fights over fragmented gang territories and markets. For example, retaliation, personal vendettas, controls, and etc. Illicit firearms are used in the commission of violence and organized crime, such as gang theft wars, robberies, and taxi violence, etc. Now, a number of these illegal firearms in circulations are controlled by gangs and criminal groupings. For example, the 27 firearms that we recently recovered at a storage facility in Beryl South that's owned by a gang leader. A sample of cases of firearms seized with serial numbers in all gang firearms seized from April to June last year indicate that the firearms mostly originate from Western Cape as well as neighboring provinces, including Gauteng, KZN, and Northwest, and were mostly stolen, lost, or taken during the commission of crime. Now, seizure of homemade imitated firearms and now also modified and blank firearms in possession of gangs and criminals has shown a significant increase, which has negative impact for crimes and detection. This chairperson includes the toy guns that are modified now to firearms, real firearms, and we've got certain matters that have been committed during that. We've got those firearms with us in the lab that have been modified from toy guns. We have selected top 7 contributing gang stations out of 31 gang stations in the city of Cape Town. Mitchell's Plain, Manenberg, Bishop Levis, Elsis River, Glenfrey, Delft, and Ravensmead. Next page, please. Now, the exposition of threat, taxi, and organized crime. Taxi violence in Western Cape refers to the violence conflict that occur within the minibus taxi industries, often involving taxi rivals, associations, drivers, and sometimes even passengers. The taxi industry in South Africa is a critical component of public transportation, particularly for people who cannot afford other forms of transport. However, it has been marked with significant violence for decades, with issues ranging from territorial dispute and fighting within the taxi association. We listed the 4, but not limited to, but the 4 most prominent ones. The key causes of the taxi violence. One, it would be territorial dispute. One of the main causes of taxi violence is competition over routes. Association and their members fight to control lucrative areas and passengers. This competition can result in violent clashes, including shootings, stabbings, and other forms of violence. Second, the lack of regulation. Despite being a critical part of the transport system, the minibus taxi industry has historically been poorly regulated. Many taxi drivers and operators are not bound by formal contracts or laws, leading to an environment where illegal activities can thrive. Third one, criminal involvement. And taxi industries in the Western Cape has been linked to organized crime. In some areas, criminal gangs have infiltrated taxi association, using violence to control routes or extort money from operators. These gangs are often involved in illegal activities such as drugs trafficking and use of taxi as front for the other operations such as money laundering and etc. Corruption and extortion. Taxi owners often pay protection fee to local gangsters in exchange for protection for rival groups. This creates an environment where violence is often seen as a way to solve dispute or enforce control. Taxi violence remains a significant taxi issues in the Western Cape, driven by factors such as competition for routes, lack of regulation, and criminal involvement. And one does the analogy between taxi violence and gangs. They've got commonality in terms of the fights. Next page, please. These are the stations that we selected, Chair. And of the stations, we see that as we have not managed to. Can I continue, Chair?
Please continue, General Patekile.
We have the Delft and Bishop Levis as well as Ravensmead, where we have struggled to get them down. But we hope with the takedowns that we've done, we will see the difference on these stations. That's the top 7 that we've been dealing with in the financial year. Next page, please. Now, the strategies that we were using to respond to gang violence in Western Cape. We start with the National Anti-Gang Strategy that was promulgated, which has got four pillars. And that pillar 1 is human development, pillar 2 social partnership, pillar 3 spatial design, and pillar 4 criminal justice processes. That aims to provide national and inter-departmental anti-gang strategies. This strategy is grounded on community-based approach, which recognizes the need for holistic response to address the root causes and enable factors of gangsterism. Then the Western Cape anti-gang strategy, which is aimed to include all levels of government and departments and all of society in an attempt to strengthen the province's response to gangsterism. The key elements is empowering communities, communication with the communities, prevention of gangsterism, and combating of gangsterism. Empowering communities by addressing human development, social cohesion, unemployment, poverty, and inequality, and through communication with social partnership stakeholders and community engagements that will include civil society and CPFs and all other stakeholders whose efforts are towards the prevention of gangsterism in Western Cape. Through improved spatial design and creating safer living spaces that will include environmental design for communities by adopting a holistic approach. And then we combat gangsterism through effective law enforcement strategy, upholding rule of law and maintaining integrity and efficacy of criminal justice system. Then our approach in response to these strategies, we use our combat approach, which is composed of 5 pillars. Number one of those is intelligence gathering, analysis, and coordination. And then proactive approach is pillar number 2, and 3 is combat and this reaction approach. And pillar 4 then include detection and organized crime, which we are actually approaching now in that fashion, and medializing. The SAPS in the Western Cape employs organized crime approach that focuses on disruptive activities, dismantling and neutralizing certain criminal gangs. That is our attempt to continue from on with this project that we are just starting. We've moved to qualify and enforce this through evidence-based policy, which is aimed at recognizing that if any activity or tactic is intended to achieve a particular outcome, there must be a clear link between the activity or tactics and the intended results. Hence the takedowns that we are going to be reporting on later on in this presentation. Integrated crime and development, crime and violence prevention strategy, which the Ministry of the Police has promulgated. This strategy's intent of ICVP is to ensure a whole of government approach for a coordinated and integrated plan to prevent crime and violence in South Africa. Integrated crime and violence prevention strategy has 6 pillars approach. Pillar number 1, effective and criminal justice. And pillar 2, the early intervention to prevent crime and violence and promote safety. Pillar 3, victim support. Pillar 4, an effective and integrated service delivery for communities and the prevention of crime and violence. Pillar 5, safety through environmental design. And pillar 6, active public and community participation. Now, partnership policing, we have in the provincial joints have a priority committee on gangs, which is chaired by the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety, and that reports to the province the progress that has been done with the meeting monthly to give progress reports. And the committee is comprised of the following departments: the POCs, the South African Police Service, Department of Culture and Affairs and Sports, the Western Cape Department of Education, Department of Correctional Services, Department of Social Development, the National Prosecuting Authority, City of Cape Town and all its disciplines, State Security, and the Chrysalis Academy, where we send our youth there. That we've seen a lot of improvement in as far as contributing to early intervention and human development. Next page, please. This is the AGU resources. You will pardon me, Chair, that we're not going to be giving the totals in the public, but if you want us to write to you in total, we will write in confidence that this is the security of the Western Cape and the people that are working. The Police Act personnel, that is it's 150%, 50% more than what is in the establishment. Then the detectives, we are under, as shortage of detectives all over in the province. We have problem in getting detectives. We are under by 10%, which we are intending to capacitate as well during the recruitment drive. And with the people also hoping that we will be getting the public personnel. We are 33% on the visible side, 7% under, as well as on the detectives who are 100% under. But we will be getting additional 22 members that are now under training, which will be completed hopefully by July, August. They will be finishing with the workplace exposure, and then they will be placed in the relevant areas. AGU is in City of Cape Town as well as part of Worcester and Wanders. Next slide, please. These are the list exercises, Chair, of the 10 projects that the National Commission has talked about. Of the 9 projects have been addressed, with a total of 42 arrested, and 8 of those are gang leaders. That's firearms that we recovered, 34, and with 1,700 various assorted ammunition, 6 M26 hand grenades, 210,000 mandrexes, and 2.2 kg of tick, 4.6 million cash, 19 Rolex watches, and with a value of 25 million rands and 2 vehicles of worth 220,000. There's conviction of 42 on other cases that's below organized crime. A total of 101 single-facet cases that are not part of the registered project were handled with a total of 108 arrests. On the taxi violence side, a total of 103 cases with a total of 80 arrests have been made. Next slide. I will now go to project A, B, C up to the last one. And the first project A, which is also based on organized crime, people were charged for in terms of POCA Act as charges are later there. They are linked with 6 murders, 3 dealings in drugs, 2 extortions, and intimidation. A total of 6 people were arrested, and the case is remanded to the 5 May. Project B relates to murder, dealing in drugs and firearms. The case is postponed to the 10th of April. Again, this is Organized Crime Act, Prevention of Organized Act, POCA Act, 1 conspiracy to commit murder, and 7 murder charges, 1 dealing in drugs, 4 possession of unlicensed firearms and ammunition. Here we confiscated an amount of 608,762, the laptops, computers, and cell phones, money machine, paperwork, bank statement, and then rates papers and business documents. 6 people were arrested, as I indicated. The next court appearance on the 10th of April. Next one. Next page. Project C relates to Fruitland firearm license. Case is remanded to the 23 of April. 3 fraud charges and 2 people were arrested. Project D relates to dealing in drugs, drug peddling. Cases has been postponed to the 5th of May. 7 dealings in drug, 1 possession of drugs, 5 people were arrested. They are all in custody. Next one, please. Project E relates to tow truck industry. The case is remanded to the 3rd of June 2025. 1 attempted murder charge, 3 murder charges, 1 breach of bail. Total of 3 people arrested. They are all in custody. Project F relates to gangs in the Overberg that deal with abalone poaching. The case is postponed to the 9th of April 2025. Charges again is the POCA Act as indicated there. 1 murder charge, 1 conspiracy to commit murder, 1 illegal possession of firearm and ammunition, 2 possession of abalone, 1 intimidation, and 1 possession of abalone charges. Total of 11 people were arrested. They are appearing again in court in April. They are all in custody. Next one, please. Project G relates to money laundering. Cases have been postponed to 8 May. 1 charge of fraud, 1 charge of money laundering, and 4 people were arrested. And 2 of those have been released on bail at 10,000 each. Project H relates to dealing in drugs, fraud, and possession of scheduled medication. The case is remanded to the 5 May 2025. Charges are as follows: 1 fraud charge, 5 dealing in drugs, 1 possession of scheduled medication charge, and 1 possession of unlicensed firearms. 5 people were arrested. They are all in custody. Next one, please. These are the provincial successes on the arrest of murders in total. 1,952 people were arrested for murder and 1,888 for attempted murders. Firearm-related cases, 2,322. And ammunition, 730, drug-related 70,752, and possession of dangerous weapons is there, and a total of 97,844. And so are the confiscation below that. Next slide, please. Now I will go to the convictions that we already during this period of the previous financial year. For murders, number of people that were 58 of those were 4 life sentences, 3 were convicted for more than 20 years, and 11 for between 10 and 19 years. And so as attempted murder, 4 were 10 to 19 years, and the possession of firearms and ammunition, 11, they were convicted between 10 and 19 years, and dealing in drugs, 150, and mostly 6 were convicted for 10 to 19 years in sentences. Kidnappings, 44, matters are all in court. Extortion and construction sites, 23, these matters are still in court. And the gang violence, 50 matters, 2, they were convicted to 20 years and more sentences and more years. And 5 attempted murders, 1 for 10 to 19 years sentences. That is total of 375, and conviction for now is 42. And continue. This is within the space of DPCI. Those are the cases that are listed, and there are also more that because that they only gave us for a quarter, but we will do an additional when we requested for the whole year that we will send to you, Chairperson, in writing. It's not limited to 1. There are so others that have not been put here. They only looked for a quarter. These are the Beaufort West one, PAL, dealing in drugs, the Cape Town Central, dealing clandestine drug laboratories, and the PAL, again, clandestine laboratories, and then Steel Bay and Strand can continue. And then Gryfontein dealing in drugs, and Minatin dealing in drugs, and forfeiture order has been issued. Worcester and Mariasburg dealing in drugs. Mitchell's Plain, possession of illegal firearms and ammunition. Somerset West, possession of illegal firearms and ammunition, as they are listed there. Next slide, please. This is only the AGO now, the anti-gang unit, as successes, Chair, the arrests, as they are listed there, the murders, the attempted murders, drug-related, illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, and the other arrests during that time, and assaults and others common. Those are the day-to-day that they are doing as they are patrolling in the areas they are combating operation, and the confiscation on the right-hand side. Next slide, please. Chair, our concluding remarks. I want to start by saying that these project investigations are intelligence-led and procedural-led. There is a combined effort. If one takes into account the strategies mentioned above, one will see that our whole of government and our whole of society approach must be implemented fully by all. It is not a policy matter only. It's all of the whole of government and all of society approach. As the strategies that I've mentioned above, they require interdependence between the policing and others. It cannot be left to the police alone, as police come when everything else inadequately was implemented. The SASP is not responsible for school dropouts, which is a breeding ground for gangs and criminal activities. Early intervention and human development, as envisaged in these strategies mentioned here in presentation, require that we redirect the energy of our youth towards self-development, which will discourage young people from joining gangs. And we as the South African Police Service will continue with all our might to ensure safety of the citizens of the Western Cape, and will continue to collaborate with all stakeholders who are in the safe space. For that, I conclude, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation, General Patekile. Just a few brief remarks before we engage in the discussion. I noted some of the statistics, but in my opinion, and respectfully, I think they are insufficient. In fact, it feels a bit misleading. The reason I say this is if we look at only including contact crime on 7 gang-related stations, it cannot give a sufficient picture or overview. In terms of the data sets, I believe they are questionable too. The reason I say this is while the data sets for 23-24 financial year provides a clean data set, the data set used for 24-25 does not. The statistics for the last available quarter would have arguably been better. And then in terms of the third quarter statistics, I believe that they provide a provincial breakdown of causative factors for murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH, of which only one causative factor is gang-related. In terms of statistics or numbers between October and December of 2024, gang-related murder was the 4th highest causative factor countrywide, which is obviously extremely worrying. And of the 294 gang-related murders recorded countrywide from October to December 2024, 263 were recorded in the Western Cape. So that's more than 90% of gang-related murders are recorded in the Western Cape compared to the rest of the country. And during those 3 months, 331 gang-related attempted murders were recorded, of which 297 were in the Western Cape. Again, 90% of these attempted murders were recorded in the Western Cape. In terms of the stats presented, I don't think it gives us enough of a picture of the real magnitude of gang-related violence in the Western Cape, and therefore I've shared some of these. And then just as an introduction to our discussion, I need to share a few things regarding the anti-gang unit and the relevant units regarding the combating of gang violence. So let's start with the anti-gang unit. So the AGU is currently and has been operating without a formal staffing structure or fixed establishment since 2018, since it was established. In terms of Cape Town, when I visited there were unannounced visits a few weeks ago. Out of the 23 total vehicles, only 8 of the 23 were operational at that stage, and the majority of them have over 250, even 300,000 kilometers of them on them. In terms of specifically, your members at the anti-gang unit, I was horrified when I got there, and a captain that was investigated in 2022 that allowed known gang members to be photographed inside his anti-gang unit while showing the gang signs was still operational at the anti-gang unit. In fact, he works in the ops room now, which is the heartbeat of the AGU. And then a few other remarks just with regards to broader policing and gang violence, but also the narcotics trade, which obviously is directly linked to gang violence. Out of the all of the dogs at the K9 unit in Cape Town, there are only 2 narcotics dogs. Now, out of the 75 trained handlers, of all the handlers at the moment in the province, there are 75 trained handlers that don't even have dogs. So, I just wanted to share this as context. And obviously, there are positive successes. The success in Bellville South with regards to the massive amount of firearms that were seized and so on, that is positive and it must be welcomed. But the statements made in the media that gang violence is under control, 1, and 2, that large-scale disruptive operations are being held is simply not true. During the visit at the anti-gang unit, when looked at just numbers of the anti-gang unit, it's physically impossible to do disruptive operations just purely because there aren't enough members. And when all the members are there, they are often bound to the base because they don't have vehicles to use. So I'm going to open the floor with that to the honourable members, and then we can engage in a constructive discussion. I've noted Honourable Schikkeling, Honourable James, Honourable Muela, Honourable Mbio, Honourable Adams. I've noted you. Thank you. Honourable Mkhwanazi. There we go. I'm going to first allow Honourable Mkhwanazi, followed by Honourable James, Honourable Mbio, Mwela, Mkhwanazi, and Honourable Adams. Sorry, Honourable Adams before Honourable Mkhwanazi. I've noted those. Honourable Mkhwanazi, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I mean, I was also at the anti-gang unit, and they are definitely working under very difficult circumstances. Their working environment is not conducive. They are severely under-resourced. They have very little vehicles that are actually accessible and working at this stage. I mean, they're putting at least 5 anti-gang unit members into a double cab bucky that I don't even think can fit you and I in the back, and then they still have their whole uniform and things on. I mean, that is completely unacceptable. At a previous meeting, we asked about the amount of members that have been placed at the anti-gang unit, and we were told that 100 new members were assigned to the AGU. Chair, I don't know where those 100 members are, but I haven't seen them. They're definitely not there. So can somebody please tell us where these members are? And then how can new police officers be placed directly at the AGU out of basic training? Surely this is a specialized unit that needs specialized skills. When we were there, we spoke to several of the members that are there, and they haven't been offered extra training. Some of them have been there for more than 7 years, and they only get there with the basic training that they have. But this is not fair, Chairperson. We are busy setting them up for failure. We are sending these young gentlemen and women into an area where they will get shot. I would also like to know from the General, please, about the firearms. I might be misguided, but according to the report that he read to us, it showed that the AGU only had seized 34 firearms in a year. That seems incredibly low to me. It's very, very little. I don't understand if I actually read right or not. And then the convictions was only 42 out of 375, Chairperson. That's just over 11% conviction rate. That's also incredibly low. I don't think I would be very positive about that, and it's not actually something I would be happy to announce. We've seen recently in the media that the CPFs have been infiltrated with members that are potentially gang members or have affiliates in the gang. How do we know that the CPFs are being treated the way that they should be, and that we can trust them to make sure that they are doing their job correctly? Because I do understand and I agree with the whole of society approach, but it doesn't help that we have a whole of society approach if we're putting people that are in incorrect that are not properly cleared into these areas. I mean, I've actually seen photos where several of the high-ranking police officers in the police, including the General Patekile, is met with CPF members, and there's photographic evidence. Surely this shows a bit of that you're being compromised, and I think that should be cleared up for us. And then, Chair, I hear about this evidence-based policing, but it doesn't seem that gang leaders are taken down by the AGU, but are mostly arrested by the DPCI. So I don't understand, and I want to go back and say I think it's perhaps because the AGU is completely under-resourced. I really do feel sorry for them. I think there's a lot of them that are doing excellent work, but yeah, they are not being able to do their work properly, and I think we are really setting them up for failure. How many SAPS officers in the Western Cape have been arrested for fraud and dealing with drugs? And then the firearms is also an issue that I have a concern with, because we regularly read of firearms that have been stolen from police officers, especially in the Cape Flats, and I'd like to know what's been happening there. And then my last question, Chair, is they spoke about taxis, and that the taxis are not properly regulated. However, Chair, there's many SAPS members that own taxis. What is being done? Have you discussed with anything with these taxi owners? Have you discussed the way that things get done? And then is there a general practice against police officers that are owners of taxis that are not following the rules of the law as they should be? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Mkhwanazi. Honourable James.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, and please excuse my voice if it's not audible. I'm down with a little bit of flu. I want to start by saying earlier on, a couple of weeks ago, I read in the newspaper that the Western Cape Commissioner indicated that things are under control in the Western Cape. I want him to validate it by me mentioning the following. He mentioned that there are 7 police stations that are hard hit by drugs and gangs. Of the 7 police stations that has been mentioned, I think I have visited 5 of them. Let me just give you an example, and he says that things are under control. Ravensmead Police Station, right? Things are under control. There's no printer in the firearm control office. The Westfold, there's only 3 vehicles to service 5 sectors. Things are under control. The detectives has to use their personal cell phones because there's no telephone lines, right? Each detective right now, as things stand, has a caseload of over 537 dockets, right? Of a team of 18 officers who only has access to about 12 vehicles. Things are under control. Also, I can carry on with Mitchell's playing, with Elsie's, with Klein Play, where you don't even have a proper station where the members are entering. It is a small space. There's no rooms to even interview your suspects at that police station. Then secondly, in the report now, I just read that the Western Cape Commissioner boldly states that SAPS is not responsible for school dropouts. I want to ask the Western Cape Commissioner if he has gone through the training of the Children's Act and if he is aware of the equal duty between SAPS and between DSD for children that are of the age and 14, and if he is aware of the national instruction that speaks to their duty as SAPS that he's now saying that he is not responsible for. So meaning all of these children that are loitering, where we have a constitutional right that says that all children must be in school, SAPS does not see those children as being at risk and in urgent need of care and protection. How can he make a statement saying that SAPS is not responsible? We do recognize the other departments responsible, such as your DSD, but SAPS has a role to play as per their national instruction. Also, I think, Chair, you covered me on the situation with the dogs. I've gone through the strategy. Now, in the Western Cape, and especially in these areas where the 7 hard-hit police stations has been identified, the strategy doesn't speak anything about the Pela Post. In Gauteng, we call it the Lolly Lounge. A Pela Post, which serves as a recruitment home, a haven for gangsters and to recruit youngsters, the ones that he says they're not responsible for. What's your strategy? And how many of these Pela Postas have you raided, and what has been your interventions? But I suppose it's nothing because your strategy doesn't mention it. I also want to ask the National Drug Master Plan, supply reduction, which is part of their 5 objectives. Supply reduction, which is, I think, pillar number 2, which is a direct mandate for SAPS. We are meant to have a SAPS representative serving on your local drug action committee. And I would like to think in the municipalities where those police stations are, you would have a representative from SAPS. I want to ask the Western Cape Commissioner, do you have a representative from those communities that is serving on your local drug action committee that can send through the information to your provincial substance abuse forum, where would it find expression at the Central Drug Authority? I also want to ask, you say that, you know what, community participation and collaboration is very important. I want to ask, are you informing and are you conducting programs in these hard-hit communities, informing them, since we have not only a narcotics and a drug problem, we also have abuse of alcohol that leads to many other problems and social ills. Is your communities aware of the fact that every police station is meant to have a liquor officer that is meant to conduct programs in these communities, informing the communities of their rights in terms of when there's possible establishment of liquor outlets in these communities, these people can actually object to it. They have 7 days to write to the liquor board, and they are able to engage with the liquor officer, because these are communities that are hard hit by substance abuse, which includes alcohol. So if you are saying things are under control, I would like to think that all the avenues that is at your disposal is actually being given to the community, and the communities are being empowered. I also want to say prison raids. We know that in the Western Cape, right? The Western Cape ranks, we've known this for many years, right? The Western Cape ranks number 1. So for me, I don't find peace, and I don't have sort of I'm not sure whose audio is on now.
Honourable Taibosh, thank you, is muted. Sorry, Honourable James, you can continue.
When we speak about successful arrests, if we look at what is unfolding at our prisons, right, where dealing and use of drugs continues even more, where the syndicates are thriving and still controlling the streets through the prison, these gang leaders and these drug kingpins that gets arrested, but continues business as usual from our correctional service institutions. I want to ask, how often do you have raids at your prisons, such as your Paulsmoor and your many other prisons in the Western Cape, to ensure that drug dealing, the heads and the kingpins, the few that you have managed to arrest, are actually no longer contributing to the chaos and the trauma that many communities on the Western Cape has to face? I don't see why, I don't understand why the provincial commissioner stated that things are under control and that there's no need for the SANDF, when communities are calling for the SANDF, because they have given SAPS an ample opportunity and chance to prove themselves, and SAPS has failed these communities. During COVID, we saw the successful deployment of SANDF to control the disease. When there was sort of threats of a march in Johannesburg by certain political party, we could see SANDF being deployed. I don't understand why the Western Cape Commissioner, and seeing that we have deaths on the Cape Flats daily in all of these coloured communities, daily children are dying, and this man says that there's no need for additional support. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable James. I'm going to hand over to Honourable Mbio.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. And I'll also...
Chair, I think I was next on the...
You are right after Honourable Mbio, Honourable Muela.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Honourable.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. And I would also like to welcome the report. Chairperson, I won't be long. My first question would be, what measurable outcomes have been achieved since the implementation of the NAGS? And the second question would be, how does the Western Cape Provincial anti-gang strategy differ from the national strategy? And the last one would be, what role do the civil society organization and the private sector play in the community empowerment? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Mbio. Honourable Muela.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Let me start by greeting the DM Matale and the National Commissioner, and let me start also by welcoming the presentation as presented, and also appreciate Chair-led joint operation, which is aimed at eradicating the organized gangs-related crimes in the province of the Western Cape. I think the work that the team is doing under these extreme circumstances cannot be ignored, Chair. for that, we want to start by commending the team for this hard work that have been presented here. Though there are certain issues that they need to improve on, but the work that has been done up to so far in eradicating the gangsterism in the province it need to be commended. I think I have a few questions that I want to pose to the meeting. The first one is in relation to the departments which are involved in implementing this strategy, the National Gangsterism Strategy, abbreviatedly as NEX. Which specific departments are involved in this regard? And the second question is in relation to what does each of these four pillars, as indicated, human development, social partnerships, spatial design, criminal justice process, contribute to reducing this scourge of gangsterism in the province? Then the last one will be, what measurable outcomes have been achieved since the implementation of this strategy, this National Gangsterism Strategy? What measurable outcomes have been achieved up to so far? And that will be my submission, Honorable Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mwela. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for the presentation, General Patekile. I'm for the most part covered. I've just got 2 or 3 things that I'd just like to let out. I was in Hanover Park when the AGU was launched 2 years ago. The AGU was promised the best tech, the best vehicles, the best everything, and it's actually quite sad just a few years later to hear that they don't even have vehicles. Chairperson, in my view, and I speak to the community regularly, the AGU is a waste of funds. I would like to know how many charges of assault have been laid against the AGU in the last year, in the last 12 months only. Because where I live, hardly a day goes by when a young man, most of them not at all affiliated with gangs, gets assaulted by the AGU. People come to my door all the time. Most of them are too scared to lay charges because I advise them to lay charges. I've actually driven 1 or 2 to the police station myself. Some of them actually do. I'd like to know how many charges of assault have been laid against the AGU. And then secondly, Chairperson, on the issue of gang violence, if this is an intelligence-driven operation, how come it doesn't really mention the numbers, gang? Because I'm something of an expert in gang violence, which is not necessarily a good thing. But I can tell you, half of the hits in the Western Cape, the order is given from prison. I think maybe SAPS should look at a collaborative effort with the Department of Correctional Services and find a way to neutralize that, because you can't sell drugs in the Western Cape unless the number allows you to. You can't really go shooting unless the number authorizes it. And I think this is what we're missing here. And you know what, Chairperson, at the risk of being chastised by you again, this is what you get when you don't speak to your community, because you can ask a 12-year-old this and he'll tell you this on the Cape Flats. And that's the sad thing, it's the sad reality. And then thirdly, the NASCOM, the Provincial Commissioner, and I often understand his statement that it's under control, because he can't really admit to the communities that we're losing the war against gangsterism and drugs. It's an admission that must not be made. But in order to make a statement like that, Commissioner Patekile, we got to put more into it, man. The presentation, it didn't say very much. It didn't mention the drug that's causing 80% of the chaos right now, which is cocaine, which is being brought in here by the South Americans. I don't understand why it wasn't mentioned, because right now it's cheaper than TIC, it's more available, and it's the most widely abused substance on the Cape Flats. And then let me just put something into this meeting also. So we've been trying to make peace between the 2 warring gangs in Lentegea, and Woodlands, which is the Fancy Boys and the Americans. And we were 2 steps away from bringing them to the table to stop the shooting. And then the alleged head of the Fancy Boys is arrested, and the peace talks go to crap. And we as community members now have to face the brunt of it, because now there's an allegation out there that we are behind the arrest. So it's just a little bit off-putting, man. But thank you very much for the presentation, Chairperson. I hope my behavior was acceptable this time.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. Honorable Reverend Meshwe.
Thank you, Chairperson. There's a statement that was made in the concluding remarks that the SAPS is not responsible for school dropouts, and is both irresponsible and should be, I suggest, should be corrected, should be withdrawn, because it creates the impression that SAPS does not care. I mean, for them to say SAPS is not responsible for school dropouts, I think that is regrettable, but also irresponsible, and I think it should be corrected. The fact that the conviction rate of crimes related to gangsterism and drug trafficking are only about 11% are a clear indication that SAPS is not succeeding in fighting gangsterism and drug trafficking in the country. Now, what I don't understand is why SAPS does not welcome the assistance of the SANDF, members of the community who are tired of crime, who are tired of the killings around them, want the soldiers to step in, to assist. And yet SAPS is reluctant to allow SANDF to come in. If the goal of SAPS and government is to eradicate gangsterism in the Western Cape, then all measures possible have to be used, including involving or bringing in the SANDF where SAPS is not succeeding. What should happen before SAPS agree to work with the SANDF to fight gangsterism so that parents and their children can live safely in their homes? Because it's not only children who are affected, but parents also are living in fear and also in pain. So what has to happen before SAPS agree that SANDF should be partners? It is one of the causes of taxi violence, we're told, is a lack of regulation. Now, when you have members of the police in some cases even generals, owning taxis. And taxi drivers are fighting over a route that benefits a general or a police commander. How would you work to ensure that it stops? Because if the violence in that route that profits the police member, that violence is stopped, which benefits the police. How will the police work to ensure that that violence is stopped? Because the police obviously want to cash in themselves. Are they benefiting from the taxi violence? Now, with this regulation, should the police be prevented from owning taxis? Is a question I want answered. And if we do not have police, men and women owning taxis, will the fight against this taxi violence be won easier because they don't have any monetary benefit from the violence? That also include taxi drivers who are saving them and their interests. Lastly, we know for sure that we have generals and number of police men and women who do not have security clearance. Now, if this is a problem with the police, what about CPF members? If you have CPF members who do not have, I don't even know whether they have to be subjected to that. If they do not have security clearance and they're given money, will they not work with the drug dealers? How can we as a police, while we agree that the police alone cannot win over crime in South Africa? It's true. But if you have individuals who are involved in criminal activities working with the police, and raids have to be made, roadblocks have to be manned, those that are involved in the areas where these roadblocks are going to be made or roadblocks are going to be manned, will they not tip or inform on the drug dealers in their areas, gangsters in their areas where they are living? So my simple question is the importance of security clearance to win trust. People in the community who know what is planned, who know what is happening, can they go to a police leader, official, they know does not have security clearance? Are people not going to be put at risk if they go to report what is planned and they happen to report to a person without security clearance? Not because it is not his fault, there are delays, but that person, obviously, there are good reasons why they are not given the security clearance because of their involvement in criminality in their area. So the issue of security clearance is also very, very important to win over any form of crime, including to eradicate gangsterism in the province. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Reverend Meshwe. Honorable Sokopo.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to everybody, the DM and everybody in the House. Chair, let me just second Reverend Moshe, Honorable Moshe there to say it is rather regrettable that the Provincial Commissioner of the Western Cape find it fit to use the words that says it is not the police are not responsible for dropout. Probably in one line it might be correct, but what is entailed in that statement says a lot. I'll make an example, Chair, that the police were supposed to be worried when there is dropouts, because if there is dropout, the rise of commission of crimes increase. Because these kites are even here close by Acacia Park. They are everywhere. There are robots standing there and doing all of this one. But what I would have, if I was in the shoes of the Provincial Commissioner, I would have then suggested encouraging this portfolio committee to engage other portfolio committees like the Department of Social Development and so forth, for us to have an approach on how to deal with these things, because the end result of dropout is crime in 90% to 95%. That's just one on that hit. Be as it may, I welcome the report by the Provincial Commission. But then I have 2 or 3 questions, Chair. The first is to check what defines a disruptive activity. When you speak about a disruptive activity in relation to dismantling gang operation, what defines? Second, Chair, how is it evidence-based that anti-gang strategies, specifically the anti-gang strategies in the Western Cape, where you would make reference and says, this was an incident, this is how we have attended to it, here is the end result of, so that you assess whether, because strategy change informed by the situation at the time, whether, so that you can just tell us that, is there any outcomes of it? Lastly, Chair, the provincial, how does it collaborate? And is there any effectiveness with stakeholders that we have that are also assisting in combating crime in the Western Cape? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sokopo. Then the last one is Honorable Matulewa. Honorable Matuela. Okay, we'll come back to you. Can I hand over to General Masemola and General Patekile for the relevant response?
And me, please, Chair, do you remember I sent you a message?
Yes, sorry, Honorable Matthys. Honorable Matuela, let's go with you first, and then Honorable Matthys, can we come to you?
No problem, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Matulewa.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. It's Honorable Babalo Matulelo, deployed by the Economic Freedom Fighters in this Parliament. So I just wanted to come in on the issue of Cwecwe, the 7-year-old that was raped in Patekile, the Bellevue College. So, Chairperson, I think it's going to be fair that we get clear clarifications on the police as well, because I wanted to put on record that I've been with this family and the Cwecwe since from this thing happened in October last year. So I just wanted Chairperson to say that we've got a few questions to ask, more especially that this case has been 6 months now without being attended to. So on the 15th of January 2025, we did a picket at Cwecwe College, and then the principal did even respond to our memorandum that we sent on the 20th of January as well. But the discrepancy with the operations of the police, I think the problem is that they started with at the end instead of starting, because we know the principle of the police. When someone has committed a crime, they take them and they arrest them. Then the process of the investigation happens while a person is inside the jail. But because we, even after the picket, we did go to the police station to open a backup case on the case of Toto, because the way of emergency, the way the police were not treating this matter as an urgent matter, we felt that we have to do a backup case with this regard. As a result, the police told us that no, it's going to be a duplication, what, but also Captain Jabu committed that is going to take the case with him and will do it as a provincial person that is senior to those in Matatiele. But, Chairperson, the other issue is that when we're asking the police, why are they starting with in the end, why they are starting by investigating without arresting any suspect? They told us, no, in Matatiele, we're no longer doing that kind of arrest because we don't want the state to be charged, all of those things. But there is this matter now that is before us. The father and everyone else that was around, except the principal, they did agree that we are even available to provide our DNA and every sample for investigation. Only the principal is the one that is not allowing the investigation to happen, and is the one that denies with the samples to such an extent that the AfriForum got a chance to interfere with the investigation. Because if ever the police leave these ones who are allowing them to give them their DNAs and everything for this investigation, and then take the principal, or this thing goes with the skin because they wound. So they take the principal is the one that doesn't want the investigation to happen in terms of samples. So, Chairperson, that's the issue of that must be considered. We can use the previous way of doing things. The principal must be arrested, and then the investigation therefore can happen, because anyone that is in jail, there's no chance to deny. There's no chance to say, no, I cannot do it. There is no chance for AfriForum to interfere with the person that is beyond bars. They can take a DNA anytime. So that's what we wanted the police to tell us. And then because, Chairperson, this has been since from October until today, there is no development. But we've been with the family, and this thing is a matter of age. Why the principal also make more traumas towards the family? Because remember, Chairperson, in the year end, the report that was issued of the results of Cwecwe was coupled with the transfer letter, meaning the principal also fired the child. And it's even indicating in the letter that we know that the parents, they didn't ask for a transfer. But this case, we cannot afford to have this child in our school. So you rape a child, you fire the child to say, must go and get a school wherever they can get a school. So I wanted to say that the family needs a very simple thing. They want a proper answers with proper time frames. When is the police arresting the principal?
Thank you, Honorable
because now anything else now doesn't matter. The processes now have been long since. So the only thing we want now to know, when is the police going to arrest the principal? Because now there's nothing else.
Thank you, Honorable Matiba. We sorry, I have to interrupt you. We get your question. It's noted, and we'll come back to it for response. As I said earlier, I know Honorable Matthys also wants to, but I need to interrupt because there's still feedback that must be given on the presentation, and then we will come back to the Eastern Cape matter. Honorable Matthys, you also wanted to say something. I believe you also need to leave early, so I want to give you an opportunity. Did I understand your message correctly that you needed to go?
No, Chair. I was saying that I wasn't able to raise my hand, so if you could also just allow me to do that. Yeah, no, I'm covered in terms of. Thank you, Commissioner Babalo. She's the one that's been handling the matter from our side, so I had asked her to join our meeting to raise the issues regarding that case. So mine is on the presentation that we've just had on the gang-related crime in the Western Cape. The Lieutenant General didn't mention on the illegal firearms, right? Whether any of them were any police. So I don't know if it was an omission, as in he didn't report that any of the firearms were, or illegal firearms rather, were actually police firearms that were stolen, or whether there weren't any. So just to get clarity on that. On the taxi violence, I get the point about regulation. I also think that both the police, the Western Cape government, and the municipalities that are involved, I mean, one of the ways of rectifying the issue around the taxi violence is to engage them with regulation rather than being strong on doing regulations in the comfort of both councils and legislatures and even here on a national level without their engagement. And then we probably won't experience such pushback from them. Just to echo my colleagues' concern about police officials being involved or owning taxis as well, and it comes back to what we just spoke about, Chair, about the vetting process. So if the general can also just clarify whether part of the vetting process also includes the involvement, particularly in this case of dealing with gang violence, like involvement in industries that tend to be associated. And sometimes it's not just taxis, it's nightclubs, it's shebeens, it's bars, etc. So if you could also just speak to that, because we can't have officials, police, and also police members being involved in the industries that also that contribute largely to gang violence. I think I've been covered for most of the other stuff. On the issue of, I know that there's been a call quite from various political parties that the South African National Defence Force must be brought in to deal with violence, and as we saw how they handled the COVID operation, etc. So just number one, I don't think it's the South African Police Service's responsibility to make that call. It is government's call to make that call. But if we're going to go to that extreme of bringing in the South African Defence Force to deal with this gang violence, I think we also need to look, and I mean, it's not necessarily the South African Police Service's responsibility to do that, but gang and organised crime is largely related to systemic issues. And in the Western Cape, we see that it's tied very deeply, and it's not even unique to South Africa. You go all over the world and you will see that the same thing, where we have high levels of gang violence, of drug abuse. It's because of the issue of landlessness. People are living on top of each other. It's the issue of joblessness. It's the issue of lack of proper education and schools that are dilapidated and are falling apart. It's the issue of poverty, really, if you want to just sum it up in a nutshell. So there also needs to be those long-term systemic issues that need to be dealt with. But dealing specifically here with the South African Police Service, this issue, and it comes back to that thing about vetting, and Lieutenant General, we're going to say this again, is that crime flourishes and organized, it can't flourish at the rate that it is if members of the police and officials of police are not involved, including politicians. It does not continue. So if we don't clean up, because it needs to start off there, it's like we just end up beating ourselves up, and we are literally just chasing our tails, literally, if we do not clean up the South African Police Service. And it starts off at the highest level. I mean, right now, we have a minister and a police commissioner fighting each other. I mean, and that is a side issue for now. But I'm saying, if the South African Police Service is not cleaned up, we are going to continue chasing our tails. We need to make sure that our members are vetted. As a committee chair, I'm going to really press upon us that we push that there is enough resources available for vetting processes, especially for these units that are dealing with very sensitive crime-related matters. We can't continue moving in this direction. We are not. We'll take one step forward and 10 steps back. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Matthys. General Masemola, General Patekile, if I may hand over to you for the relevant feedback.
Good
General
morning.
Masekile, there we go.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairperson. Once more, you'll recall that National Commissioner requested that he be released as he's joining the minister on that other meeting. Chairperson, I do not have a video. I see the host has blocked, but I know the committee knows this face. General Patekile is going to give response on specific matters that relates to Western Cape as a province. I will, Chairperson, try to address the issues that are of general nature that are not necessarily within the Western Cape space. I think the first and foremost is to acknowledge, Chairperson, the concerning issues, especially those that were raised by Honorable Matilelwa, if I am correct. Apologies if I'm spelling the surname of the Honorable Member on the matter of Patekile, that Chairperson, the request was made earlier that can we allow the process that has been implemented now by the National Commissioner to send the head of FCS to go and interrogate, that we be given an opportunity until then, Chairperson, so that we can give the response that will cover that review process that is being underway. But also, Chairperson, to indicate maybe to the members that it has never been a practice to arrest, to investigate, to always investigate, to arrest. And I'm not specifically referring to the current matter, but just to indicate that it has never happened in the organization or under the constitutional democracy of our country that is so highly regulated. And the laws of the country do not allow, or Criminal Procedure Act do not allow, that we arrest first before we investigate. So it's always been investigate to arrest. The only instance that will happen to arrest immediately is when we have a prima facie case, or we do have evidence that will suggest immediately that we have seen these two people fighting. For an example, you will arrest because you already know that two people were fighting and it's evidence. The only further investigation that is done in that regard is to get the collaboration or collaborative evidence on the matter. But we do not, as the South African Police Service, arrest people and then investigate afterwards, because we have only 48 hours to find collaborating evidence over a person. And within that 48 hours, really, if everybody will come and say we suspect so and so to have done 1, 2, 3, and we arrest, we will always not finalize that investigation before the time. But I want to stand on the National Commissioner's words that he said earlier in this committee, that the matter is receiving attention, and we will, when we receive that information, share with the members. The last comment that was made by Honorable Mates, it's also noted, Chairperson, and I think on the issues of vetting as well, just to indicate that, yes, a National Commissioner also reiterated on the fact that the review of the structure of the vetting unit is being looked at, and it will include capacitating the vetting so that we do not have these undue delays when security clearances needs to be issued. Chairperson, I'm one of the person who have applied. Mine is expiring in August, but I am not sure if by then the security clearance will be ready, as long as we still having this stretch capacity within the vetting unit, that we're just hopeful that by the time that the members that have been earmarked to be placed at vetting units are out, that will then assist the department in ensuring that the vetting process doesn't take long. I must say, with every application, the vetting unit or vetting members needs to start to interrogate the process from scratch. If the people you have included on your application, for an example, if I am now here in the Western Cape and I grew up in the Free State, which I'm coming from, to be specific, they will have to go to the school that I attended, interview the teachers, interview the people who grew up with me, interview my family that will be on that vetting. I think it's 10 names that you must include on the application. If one is in Limpopo, one is in Northwest, you'll have to go and investigate in that regard. Maybe that is why the process is taking this long. Chairperson, on the issues of the members owning, I think also it's a general statement that it requires that I respond to, that in terms of the policy of the South African Police Service and the national instructions, a member of the South African Police Service or a serving member is not allowed to own any business that is liquor, because we know it causes problems and there will be a conflict of interest. You cannot own a club, you cannot own a taxi. Those that are found to be owning that are dealt with accordingly. You cannot do business with the state. So that is given, is the policy. You cannot own such businesses. And most of the time they are registered with other persons who are family members or either the spouse that is not in the service. And you cannot say my spouse cannot own a business. Maybe for colleagues within the legal and HRM to look at further tightening up as to who should you be related to in regards to them being owning the businesses. But Chairperson, if they do, when you interrogate and look into their involvement in the businesses, you'll find out that the businesses are not in their name. That is why we are unable to pick up or to even charge members for owning those businesses, as it is a policy or a directive that needs to be undertaken. The other question came from Honorable Misha on the issues of the CPF members. Yes, we do run and check their involvement. It might not be a complete or a full vetting process, which can be looked at as well, but we are not allowed to take any person who either have previous conviction or that is knowingly being involved in any criminal activity to serve on the CPF. Chairperson, that is the process that is being undertaken, and we believe that those that are responsible to make sure that they recruit and get the CPF members, they dig deeper and ensure that that is not happening, because it is also in a policy it's given. They cannot serve as members of the CPF if they are having issues. But Chairperson, from time to time we encourage even to work with civil society. I think even in this committee it comes from time to time that how do we get involved with other members that are not CPF members that we would have known and ran the security vetting for them or any form of ensuring their cleanliness. We are also encouraged to, the ICVP, as General Patekile have indicated, also requires that it is the whole of society approach in dealing with the issues that has been adopted. You will not necessarily share the plan with the non-police members. Only police members or the law enforcement during our joint meetings will share certain information so that we go and operationalize. Other people, like your communities, will only operate as we're there, but they will not know what the plan is. That we are safeguarding as far possible as we can, to the point that we are not even encouraging to have operational meetings on a virtual platform, Chairperson, because we would not know who is sitting with a member that is connected into a meeting. So all these meetings are supposed to be physical meetings, and only certain individuals do sit. That is why we are having what we call Provincial OCC, which is Operational Coordination Center. We have prof joints that only applicable, appointed and approved members from different departments participate in this type of issues. Chairperson, I'm not going to respond on the issue of the involvement of the SANDF. I think Honorable Mates did indicated on how the process is undertaken. That is correct. It is not a SAPS alone that should make such call, refuse or approve, but there are processes, and it is only the Commander-in-Chief, in this case the President of the country, that can then declare that the SANDF will be approved. Only him can approve the deployment of the SANDF, but also to just indicate that the SANDF will only be deployed if there is a sufficient motivation that indicates otherwise in terms of the war, because their training is not to do your classical policing. They are trained to fight. If there is such need, Chairperson, the motivation that goes will then indicate otherwise, so that the CIC can take the decision to deploy the SANDF. I will at this point request General Patekile to come in, Chairperson, to respond to some of the questions that were very direct to him. To also check on the joints if the issues of the prison rates have been discussed, because again it is the space of another department. Only if they request that we form a part of the rates, which often happens, they do not go alone. But I think the question was specific on the number of rates that has been done, and I think General Patekile, it will come from the joints meeting where such requests are made, or on the intelligence-driven operations that will then take them to the joints and encourage the rating. General Patekile, through you, Chair.
Please go ahead, General Patekile. You're more than welcome.
Thank you, Chair. I hope I can be seen. Chair, let me start with the last one that the National Commissioner has put in. More often we do raids in specific focus areas, but that raid is informed by the intelligence that we use in many of those. But at some point, the Department of Criminal Services then would request us to augment their raids, which we normally do, and it's an ongoing issue. But yes, the fact that Honorable Adams was saying that the hits are planned in prisons and other issues, we welcome the input, but also indeed we have intercepted many of those that could have been killed through the plans that are being made in prisons. But we are busy with our sister department on other number of issues to cut the communication between. I can mention that one of those was a place where in Portsmouth, because one of the gang leaders could not get to any person, and we intercepted a by shot, a written note to say, go and remove certain issues, certain items away and deal with ABCD. Out of that, then we arrested people and they are charged for murder and many other things. So we are collaborating with the correctional services, but we can do more. We are trying to ensure that we bring safety and doing in all sorts of efforts to get there. Now, Chair, the statement that maybe I'm not English, we're really not English speaking, but what the point that we wanted to drive across is the fact that the number of school dropouts and the youth that is idling is the breeding ground for the criminals, the gangs and other criminals to recruit. If that can be discouraged in any manner, including ensuring that the youth that cannot finish their given skills were redirected to attain skills, vocational and technical skills, which I believe that there will ever be a need for them, then you are actually redirecting and also ensuring that you do not make gangs as models, as role models of our children. So that is the point that we're trying to drive that. If we're not coming to say why not, we are saying this is the point. This is where it should focus be in ensuring that the youth is safe from being recruited as gang and criminal activities. We partly with that, we've seen with the Bella Act that now there is a penalty if a child between grade certain age to a certain age is not at school. We as at the provincial joint last year, we've taken a decision that this year all stations must, with the CPFs, ensure that parents are encouraged to ensure that children remain at school until they finish up to grade 12 or they get to the vocational and technical schools to ensure that they get skills. That is the message that we're trying to get across in this part. We really need more assistance because that is the problem where we're sitting with at all times. Now, coming to you, Chair, on the comments that you've made, we've noticed the fleet of the HGU is aging, but as it gets boarded, then we get replacement. We will continue with ensuring that they get more of the vehicles that are being boarded. and we're prioritizing the vehicles in the garages. And we must be saying we're lucky that we've cooperated with the technical and vocational schools around to give us children that are doing mechanics, motor mechanics in our police garages. And we're seeing the improvement in terms of getting our fleet out of the garages. Secondly, we look at the gangs, the states that talks to the gangs. I really want to take this opportunity to say gangs is not the colored issue. Gangs in the Western Cape have moved across the border lines. Then when we say gangs, we talk about gangs in the taxi environment. We're talking about extortions. We're talking about kidnappers. We're talking about urban coaching. All those that contribute to the matters. So it is not a question that we talk only gangs as a specific that is colored issue. It is not in our case. We got the statistics to that effect. The structure, the enabling structure for the AGU. Now the new structure has actually been approved on FE, on the fixed funded establishment. That is why we were saying what we've said, 100, now they are more by 50%. But it kept on being investigated as another work study that we've initiated to ensure whether this is adequate given the number of gang stations and also the rapid growth of those stations in terms of informal settlement and many other developments that have happened. So as it goes, then we will see if that can be looked at as well. Now the training of the AGU members was finalized, the curriculum, last year, and I think this year they're beginning to start with the training. Now, what we're doing, as we start with promoting the upward movement, we are getting people from data, because their training now that we've requested, that should be at the level of a TRT or national intervention, NIU. So if we get people that are getting from the NIU or TRT to the AGU, we're actually enhancing the skills, the technical skills that we're looking at in terms of operation in the gang unit. That's what we're looking at, we're doing now. The narcotics, the K9, Honorable Shikling, the K9 units, and we had a donation from a private person who donated 40 dogs. We've sent 16 dogs to be tested. Of the 16 dogs, 7 have passed, and we've sent again now another 20 dogs to be tested for this donation. Whilst they also on the RCBS side, there are and efforts to get more dogs to be trained. But what we've done the part that we're doing, but we're hoping that those dogs that have passed, we actually want to concentrate on explosives and narcotics, and also those of crime prevention, so that they can assist us with the narcotics, which is problematic, and also firearms in the province. Honorable Shiplins, yes, the 100 members that we talked about, that we deployed at AGU from the colleges. Remember the AGU, where, as I indicated, we got AGU in Cape Town, we get AGU in the Winelands. And then you got to ensure that those are capacitated. As we given now, they are over by 50%. But we keep on adding whenever it's necessary. 22 additional that's coming in. End of the July, I believe they're finishing the workplace exposure. Then they will start after that. We want to ensure that it's a career, because it's a career movement from that growing up in that attending experience as we do the job on job training. But the training of the members from this year is actually a priority, because the curriculum is now there. That's been finalized. CPF infiltrated in the game of violence, and Patekile also compromised in terms of the photos. Patekile doesn't know that is compromised, but you are welcome to make investigation, and I would love to hear that investigation that I'm involved in. And I'm taking that seriously, that I would love that investigation to be done against me, that I'm involved in the gangs. Now, CPFs that are involved, yes, we've seen the complaints in Elsa's River and elsewhere that we received again. But the unfortunate part, when people's names are brought in before election, we only vet after they have been elected. So perhaps the approach would be now we get the list, and then we start vetting all the people that are standing for election, and then perhaps that will assist. So I think it's a lesson that we're learning from there. And we're welcoming any suggestion how best we deal with this in order to ensure that we're not compromised. How many members of the SCPS that have been arrested for drugs and we have a number. I know that we arrested quite a number of our members. We have arrested and dismissed 45 members for the previous financial year for corruption, including everything in terms of our in the Western Cape. But there are also others that are on suspension for several crimes. That would include those that are involved in domestic violence and other things, and some have been transferred from other places to another because of crimes that they are now being investigated for. Honorable James, yes, the Ravensmith, the Claimfrey is now having park homes that are being built to ensure that the space is available. Ravensmith vehicles, unfortunately, the fixed funded establishment requires the resources that we respond to in the way that they have been allocated. Yes, what we now do in stations where there's been a rapid increase in terms of development, we're looking at more work studies to ensure are those resources still responding effectively necessary? What can be added? So we'll be looking also in that one of Ravensmith. The drug houses, and then we've got Bella Post. That is our doing every day. We talked about labs that have been dismantled here and DPCI and all other things. That is the focus, because between the drugs, I've got three, the gang violence is composed of three legs: the drug membership, the drugs themselves, and then the firearms. Those are the three things that we're focusing on dealing with policing gangs. The drug master plan, I indicated that we have a priority committee on the profit joints that deals with drugs. Amongst those is dealing with the drug master plan and ensuring we've had in this one of the projects that deals with scheduled medications. That is part of the response to a drug master plan. Are we involving our communities in fight against gangsterism? The answer is yes, but also bearing in mind what has been said about the infiltration of those very same communities with the gangs. We're doing that in many levels. As we speak now, there are about 40 children that are out being trained in different ways of during this holiday, between the police, the NPA, arts and culture, and many other departments in that priority committee. They are right now on a 3 days outing, talking about various issues: gangs, drugs, bullyism at school, and many other things. As we speak now, guys, I'm sitting here. They are busy outside. They're being used. It would be important for us to look. The issue is, how do we redirect the youth from gangs to ensure that there is a better alternative than looking at gangs as role models. I think that's what we've been trying to achieve at the local level with our youth crime prevention, our spiritual crime prevention, and many other efforts that have been done at the local level. Honorable Adams, the prison ranks and the numbers, yes, sir. But we will bilateral on other issues. We welcome the input that you mentioned there. Yes, we need more experts like you on that part to assist us on those numbers. Honorable Mbiozo, what measures out there on the national anti-crime strategies? How measurable? It would have been measurable more if all other role players in those pillars were assisting us. But unfortunately, it is not my point to say, how about if they are invited to come and assist? What are they doing? I cannot talk on behalf of them. But we'll only be talking about us, what we are achieving, and perhaps somebody could ask them, what are they doing to assist us to ensure that the human development and the whole of society, how does it take? Now, the Western Cape anti-gang strategy is as a result of the NEC. That was the response to the issues that the pillars that the national anti-gang strategy was stipulated. Amongst other things that the Western Cape government is doing jointly with the police. They've got the violence prevention programs. Now we've got ambassadors in some of the areas. Many other efforts that have been done in assisting with the police to ensure that there's a response to combating gangs and redirecting the youth from being involved in gangs. And we welcome many more other efforts and inputs that could assist us to ensure that our aim is to ensure that everybody remains safe. We're not entertaining the issue that any matter that has been reported, we are not happy with that ourselves. That's why it's important that we get assisted on those matters. Honorable Mkhwanazi, I think I responded to the issue of the schools, and it has been responded on the issue of vetting, and also the issue of the SNDF is responded to, and also the issue of the taxi members. But we have had many people that have been reported. I must say, in the Western Cape, the community is reporting to us, and we've taken steps, and so many members we have dismissed because they have been found to be owning taxis. And we will continue doing so if there are any other people that have been who were informed of that they get investigated. Honorable Sokopo, yes, I explained that what we wanted was the assistance to ensure that all other society departments assisting us in ensuring that children remain in school. By the way, we were also parents, and some of our children are part of those that are on Scott Dockhouse or our relatives. So it's all of us that we would like to say that every child gets saved. Now, the evidence-based policing is actually what we intend to do. We bring evidence. For example, the takedown that we had is an evidence that it works. But now, it works that you focus on these groups and you have taken them down. You have actually taken down, confiscated many of the assets that they have. But we would have loved once we've done this part now, assets forfeiture unit comes in to attach some of the properties as a process of crime. Then after that, with that evidence-based and conviction in court, will then finalize that part. But on our part, it's evidence-based policing, looking at what works and does it respond to the specific problem that we wanted to solve, which we are seeing in the areas where we have implemented evidence-based policing, the calm shift, and we've made sure that some hotspot have now moved to other areas. So we're intending now this year to ensure that evidence-based policing in Western Cape is implemented in all stations so that we're on the same level. It also takes up the thinking level of each and every member on the station to look at the problem, to solve that problem, than just moving and reacting to what is there jointly with the community that you're serving in that area. Honorable, the taxi violence that Honorable Chair has been done, the vetting of our members, National Commissioner has talked much on it. I don't know if I left anything out of the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, General Patekile. Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I think the only thing that I'm noting here is a question from Honorable Sipopo on the issues of defining what disruptive operation is, it's sufficient, Chairperson, I believe, to indicate that it is your heightened operations that are aimed at disrupting any activity, but to define and say this is what it entails, it will even went further to divulging some of the strategies that we employ when we tackle crime, and with the platform that we are utilizing, and considering the fact that this also become a public platform, we will be planning to fail if we are going to go blow by blow on what will that entail and what we are doing. It's sufficient to indicate that we do have or implement or employ disruptive operations, and these are intelligence-led. Chairperson, if you allow, because when we deal with the issues of the gangs, and specifically the fact that we have the head of the national head of the DPCI within this delegation, was to also recognize that gang goes further to organized crime. And when it becomes a serious organized crime, it then entails that the DPCI, as we have also included some of the successes that are sitting in that space, it's responsible for that, especially when it gets to your level 3 to 5 of the criminal value chain that is dealt with by a serious organized crime department or a division within the DPCI in the police. And if we still have time to allow General Lebeya, Chairperson, because he is in the meeting, to perhaps elaborate on the role that he is playing in addressing and getting involved on the issues of the organized criminal value chain within the gangs in the Western Cape. If you allow, Chairperson, to call General Lebeya on the platform. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, General Mosikili. General Lebeya, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Good afternoon to yourself, and good afternoon to all the honorable members and the members of the police in the platform. Chairperson, in terms of Section 17, capital letter K, in bracket 1, Parliament shall effectively oversee the functioning of the Directorate and the committees established in terms of that chapter. Indeed, when the Greater Service has been invited to come and do the presentation, some of the successes from the DPCI has been incorporated in the presentation that has been made by General Patekile. Yes, when we get involved in dealing with organized crime, which ours, obviously we focus specifically on serious organized crime. We look at those that operate at level 3 to level 5, which is why most of the normal organized crime activities that are restricted to a particular location are dealt with by the Organized Crime Investigation Unit within the greater SAPS. There are some of the high-profile matters that are currently serving on the court roll in the Western Cape, which the serious organized crime within the DPCI are handling. But otherwise, we work closely with the rest of the personnel. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members.
Thank you, General Lebeya.
Back to you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Mosikile. Colleagues, I think we should start concluding for today. You'd know by now that there is a planned, they've unfortunately postponed it, but there is a planned session on its way, along with a joint committee from the National Council of Provinces, specifically zooming in on this. I must say that I think the discussion after the presentation was productive. I can't help but state that I'm extremely concerned of the conditions that some of the police officers work in the Western Cape. It is a challenge across the country, but I can tell you that Fora Base, specifically where the anti-gang unit operates from, where the public order policing unit operates from, is extremely, extremely dilapidated. And apart from the responsibilities of public works, which we have also written to as a committee, I must say that it is of great concern to see the limited amount of vehicles that these units have. The fact that the anti-gang unit does not have a fixed establishment is extremely worrying, because it means no one can plan. They've got no intelligence capacity inside the anti-gang unit, so there's no one that's dedicated to provide crime intelligence for the anti-gang unit, and the dedicated detectives aren't actually attached to the anti-gang unit anymore, but they are rather attached to the organised crime unit in the South African Police Service. So it creates a lot of command confusion. While we were sitting here, I was receiving messages as well from all over, from people, members of the public that are watching. There's a specific current acting station commander at Steenberg that was charged for torture and attempted murder, and is currently out on bail, but is still the acting station commander. We recently saw the transfer of the district commander of the Overberg district being transferred to the Winelands district, and the specific Major General has only been in the police for 14 years. And it does leave me, and this is why I come back to many of the questions that Reverend Mkhwanazi, Honorable Matthys, Honorable Schikkeling, well, I can go through the whole list of the members on the committee that they asked, where I'm not convinced that it is always the case that people are appointed because of their level of skill. the specific matter has been questioned before. We have also written to the relevant person, so too to the National Commissioner, because it cannot be that not only in terms of promotion, that someone is a Major General within 14 years and entered the South African Police Service as a brigadier, but we must question and query this and what it does to the morale of members that have spent their entire life and career trying to wear the badge and the uniform with pride, and that really respect the badge. I must then stress as well that there will be the relevant follow-ups regarding capacity in and around the Cape Flats in terms of specialized police capacity. There is a general problem with regards to vehicles. I know at Flying Squad at the moment in Cape Town, there are at least 3 vehicles, 2 of which are brand new, that have been parked under a roof, and the members don't have enough vehicles yet. They can't use the new vehicles, and we will continue to report as such. So that being the anti-gang process or the anti-gang discussion that we will come back to again, I want to conclude that, and then I want to move to the matter regarding the little child and the horrific incident that happened in the Eastern Cape, to ask General Mosikili, in terms of the questions asked by some of the honourable members, whether there's any additional feedback. I know you did answer some of it when you started speaking just before General Patekile also spoke, but General Mosikili, is there something specific that you would like to add in conclusion regarding that specific matter?
Thank you once more, Chairperson. No, Chairperson, yes, I've indicated that General Nhlanhla only went to Western Cape on Monday. It's still there in the Eastern Cape, my apology. It's still there to gather facts, and I think earlier there was an indication of some of the statements that he has already obtained, that we're going to be looking and reviewing to look if there were any gaps in that investigation. But I can allay the fears that the committee members are having and the community, that we will do everything humanly possible to ensure that all processes are followed and or have been followed to the latter. Chair, I think there was an indication or the statement that was made again earlier that there are people who are not police-trained members within the FCS. To indicate, Chairperson, that we do have specialists within the FCS in the form of forensic social worker. And it is by law required that we must have social workers within that space. They are employed solely to do the forensic social work within the FCS environment. And their role, Chairperson, is to ensure that they support where needed, especially on the cases of this nature, where the victim is of the age of the underage, to assist with the investigation and compile and submit a report using the techniques that as social workers or forensic social workers are trained to do that. So if you find a person within the FCS unit that is not a police official trained, although they are employed under the Police Act, they are forensic social work. They are social workers, and their life is to deal with the matters that are within that space. It's a highly specialized environment, and in the process, you cannot work at FCS for 24 years as a forensic social worker, and you don't know what contains there and what needs to be done. So that's that, Chairperson. In regards to those non-police members that are within the FCS units, you will still find them a chair, and they will not be taken to the police college, because now we'll be diluting that we want to achieve from them. They come with the qualification to deal with such issues. Chairperson, I also noted that Honorable James indicates that there are things that have not been answered. Chairperson, I will just check. I think General Patekile went blow by blow with them, even acknowledging the issues of Raven Smith and other police stations that Honorable James have highlighted, and acknowledging again the statement of the dropouts, and to also elaborate on what needs to be done in that regard. I'm just going through them, Chairperson, to look at the issue of K9 and the raiding of the lolly lounges or delapos, if that was not sufficiently covered. I'm just going through, Honorable James, the notes that I've also made. The drug master plan, General Patekile did indicate it. I think maybe General Patekile, I'm looking at your time, Chairperson, if there is any representative on the municipality that is sitting there.
I don't think there is at the moment. We'll have to come back to that.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, General Mosikili. Honourable James, are there specific questions that were, if you could share, that were not answered? Let's just make sure. I don't want your questions to be missed.
Yes, Chair, definitely. I asked if the Western Cape Commissioner, if they are representatives serving on the LDAC. He tells me about the National Drug Master Plan. I asked if these stations that he's highlighted as liquor officers, he did not answer that. There are so many questions. We said that he needs to withdraw that reckless statement that undermines our intelligence. He rather goes on to explain the Bela Bill and their participation and skills. He does not answer the fact that there's been no intervention. He then puts drug dealers and labs in the same box as your Pela posters, which is definitely not the same thing, which tells me that he's just speaking to say something, but he's not actually answering the questions. A simple yes or no would do.
Thank you, Honourable James. General Patekile, I want to give you an opportunity to at least be able to respond.
Thank you, Chair. I've answered the question. And maybe must just tell me which part that he doesn't understand, that I didn't answer. Because I've answered the drug posts that we're dealing with it. I've said we're dealing with drug houses. We're dealing with liquor every day. And I talked about awareness campaign, the joint at the station level with sector crime forums, sector managers, and everybody. I've talked about those. But if there is anything that I did not, then I must be informed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, General. Honourable James, may I ask that you send us the specific questions on paper, and then we'll have written questions sent for you to have answered, and we can continue to elaborate on it. I'm just scared that there's that someone's misunderstanding somehow in terms of asking and questioning. I know there are other things to also discuss. Honourable James, are you comfortable with sending those? And then we can formally request answers for them.
Okay, so in the interest of time and the other matter that we need to discuss.
Thank you, Honourable James. I really appreciate that. Then I'm moving to Honourable Matulewa to just provide some remarks regarding the Eastern Cape matter.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you for this opportunity again. But I firstly wanted, to firstly pass my heartfelt speedy recovery to Cwecwe, who is recently involved in the car accident this morning when we were along the way to here in Parliament. Then she was being attended to by the ambulance, rushed to hospital. So she was involved in the car accident. The mother of Cwecwe, that 7-year-old that was raped. Chairperson, I just wanted to follow up that, because I indicated here that the parents need a proper answer with effective time frames on how long is it going to take the police to arrest the principal, or rather the perpetrators, because currently now we've got questionable emotions that when after the principal is denying to comply with the investigation. So if the general can just tell us the timeframes that are very effective, I think that will be a justice also on its own to the parents. I hope you remember that I said that I'm Honourable Barbara Matulelo, employed by the EFF in Parliament. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Mkhwanazi, you still have your hand up.
A simple question I also want to ask now, as we close, that do the police want to see protests before they take action? Because this 7-year-old child was raped almost 6 months ago, 5 months ago, and nothing was happening. We even heard that, even this morning on the news, a representative of AfriForum says there is no proof that the principal is a suspect. They want proof. And this matter has to be clarified. If a crime has taken place and there are people who are suspects, do the police first require proof that the person is a suspect before they can investigate? Or when a crime has taken place and a person is a suspect, they have to investigate? I don't say arrest, but investigate first. So when you have a learned person say there is no proof that the principal is a suspect, what do they really mean? Because these are learned people. And is it procedural that before the police can investigate a crime, they must first get proof that an individual is a suspect? That is my main question for now that needs to be answered. What comes first? Investigation or proof that the person is a suspect before you investigate? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Mkhwanazi. Honourable Cwecwe, and then I'm going to hand over to General Mosikili for the last answers. Honourable Cwecwe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I apologize for being in the car. I'm coming to the plenary now. Chair, I echo the sentiments of my honourable members in the instance of Cwecwe, the rape case, and again the one in the bomb of a 13-year-old girl. Chair, I just want to ask the members of the SAPS, what caused the delay for them to start attending to this issue? Had it not been the TikTok or the social media, that means these parents would have not gotten the services that is so prompt like it's happening now. And don't they think that delaying going to the perpetrator or the alleged person to get the DNA causes more harm to the child, number one, to the community, number two, causes more stress to the parents of the children that were attending to that school. At the same time, it also does something to the case because credibility of the case is now tainted with. What I'd like to ask the members of the SAPS, do they see that it is very, very crucial for them to take their members to training? Hence, I asked earlier on about the issue of Benoni Training Academy to utilize such facilities to train their members thoroughly on how important is their work. Because you see, the mother of the child, somewhere says she had to pull a rank for her to get attention and the service that is due to her. So what happens to those people who are not members of SAPS? Their children are raped. That means they won't have any services unless they pull ranks, or if they don't even have phones, which might give them access to the media. That means they won't get services. So I think something serious and drastic must be done. A certain induction must be again given to SAPS members. Not that all of them are not working, but these rotten potatoes that are lazy, they are causing us such. So I think something should happen urgently. And I demand that General Commissioner helps us in this regard and gives us something tangible. What really happened from November until now? What was happening in detail? Because it can't be that this time around we're still finding white people who are so arrogant and feel that they have power
over our SAPS, which is the authority in the country. Chair, this must come to an end immediately. So I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Cwecwe. Honourable Mkhwanazi.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chairperson. I'd just like to add, Chair, you know, when Jocelyn Smith went missing, Chair, the South Africa went crazy, and it is a name that's become known to many people and it's on our lips. But there's hundreds of Jocelyn Smiths that go missing in South Africa that we don't know about, Chair. And the same with this case. When something terrible, really unimaginable for this poor little girl, South Africa stood up and said, this is not right. But she's a name that's now on everybody's lips. But there's hundreds of other kids whose names are not on our lips. And we cannot carry on like this, Chairperson. The injustice that's being done to the youth and the children of our country is sickening. And the police will have to make sure that they take matters like this more seriously and that they're investigated ASAP, because we are losing children to death. And the lasting stigma of these terrible things that these children go through is really, it is sickening, Chairperson. We really need the police to give us their commitment that FCS will start doing their job, and where cases of such nature arise, they are investigated immediately, and that they are placed first on any court roll so that we know that we can get rid of these sick people out there that are destroying the future of our young children. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Mkhwanazi. General Mosikili, I'm going to give you one last opportunity for answer regarding this specific case, and then we will need to close. I know there are quite a few members that need to go to caucuses before the plenary.
Thank you once more, Chair. I will be as short as possible, Chairperson, not to waste members' time unnecessarily. I will start with the last comment by Honourable Mkhwanazi and combine with that of Honourable Cwecwe, Chair, on the issues of the FCS members, and perhaps to give that commitment on behalf of the department that we are committed, Chairperson, and we are going to continue to be committed, especially on the cases against women and children and all other matters. I think every case that comes to our table is as important as the other. And on the FCS, Chairperson, I want to reiterate once more that the FCS training, the National Commissioner did indicated that you will be trained as a detective. I worked at FCS for many years in my career, and the training that goes within that environment is immeasurable, Chairperson. And if one can indicate on the professionalism that you get within the FCS environment, it's of a very high standard. And one also note that there will be issues of human element, that there will be members that will also be challenging at the given time, and that it's been given attention and we deal with it and will continue to deal with it. I think General Patekile did indicate it as well, that if information is tangible, it gets investigated, and those that need not be in the environment are dealt with accordingly. Chairperson, the other issue is when will the arrest happen, and I think it goes with what causes the delay to solve the matter. The issue of when will the arrest happen, as I've indicated, that if investigation reveals that somebody needs to be arrested, irrespective of who, Chairperson, he or she will be arrested on this matter. So to say that the person will, the delay in investigation will be caused or to solve the matters, I want to say, Chairperson, that we are doing everything to our power. Hence, the National Commissioner has decided to send the head of the FCS from National Office to go and intervene on this matter, and that matter was given she was given 7 days to come up with that report, which for me, the 7 days from Tuesday, Chairperson, will be next week Tuesday to get the feedback. But I cannot lie to the committee or to the nation and say by Tuesday the person will be arrested. It depends on what will come or the outcome of that investigation will reveal. And as soon as that comes up, it will if we will effect arrest. And the same goes to what Honourable Mkhwanazi has said, that do we arrest after getting the proof? Yes, but we do not investigate when there is a proof. We investigate when there are allegations. So all or any allegations that get reported to the police gets investigated. And if there is a sufficient information and evidence or proof that we can take the matter to court, remember, Chairperson, at the end of the day, the court will decide the fate of a person that we arrest. And if facts are there, they are correct and true, and are tested before the court of law, a person will then be convicted. So there is no delay on this matter, Honourable Cwecwe, Honourable Mkhwanazi. The matter was investigated immediately. The person was referred. The mother knows that there was referral for psychosocial service, which was done. The case was then taken to court. There were involvement of the forensic social worker. As the National Commissioner alluded earlier, that the investigating officer did everything that he was supposed or she was supposed to do, and the case was then taken to court. But Chairperson, as I've indicated, from October until this point, everything was done. What we are doing is this outcry, community outcry, and what the satisfaction of the family consent that we are reviewing and investigating as head office to look if the province has done. The acting provincial commissioner did give us the feedback on Monday on this matter, but because the national commissioner found it necessary to send a delegation from head office to the Eastern Cape, chairperson, the flight ticket was bought for the head of FCS, the hotel was booked. She is there with the team to go and interrogate and find answers that we will come back to the nation, we will come back to the committee and give blow-by-blow account on what happened to the matter. As Honorable Shikele is saying, that names become topical because people want answers. We are committed that we'll come back and provide those answers because that is our constitutional mandate to make sure that we account on the matters that are brought before us and those that are on our table. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, General Mosikile. Colleagues, I'm going to conclude the meeting. There are several people that still need to go to caucuses, and soon we will have plenary. Thank you for the engagement today. Thank you to the National Commissioner in his absence, General Mosikile, for your facilitation. I want to thank General Patekile for your presentation too, General, and for engaging with the committee. I would also like to ask ask DM Matale if you would just like to say something brief. But apart from that, I think we can conclude. DM Matale, are you still with us?
Yeah, no, I think let's close the meeting because of time constraint, and appreciate the interaction that we have had, and agree that let's allow members to go and attend caucuses. But thank you so much.
Thank you very much, DM Matale. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is then closed.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chair.